Hello guys, welcome. We got a lot of stuff to do today. First of all, if you guys haven't seen the announcement that I posted, basically everywhere, Colin Ashley will be in Janissary Code Friday this week. So my plan is to, next week, I'm going to do a mass summoning to try to get her. I have accumulated a lot of resources in Janissary Code. I've been saving them for this moment. So that's something to look forward to for next week. But we still got plenty of awesome stuff to do this week. Obviously, more Janissary Code gameplay, and 3 important episodes that are going to be going through the pinnacle of Suzaku and Euphemia's relationship and kind of how it evolved. And we'll get to that, obviously, during this stream. But first, let's start with the review of the week. And the review of the week is going to be Bokurano. Bokurano is a mecha anime that is similar to something of Neon Genesis Evangelion, Razafon, Eureka 7, and even some level of Code Geass. It's the typical, well now typical, but mind break, psychological mecha anime. This one is not as, I would say, as well known as the others. Most people probably haven't heard of it, which is depressing because it's actually a really good story. I think one of the reasons why people haven't heard of it is because it came around the same time as Bokurano, and Bokurano is a very popular anime. For good reason, by the way. It's one of the better ones that's come out in the last, this generation. It's a good story. I mean, I'll get to it at some point. I mean, I've done Gungrave, so just because mobster anime is definitely something I enjoy doing. So the premise of Bokurano, and I'm going to try to avoid as much spoilers as I can, but keep in mind, I have to say a couple things that kind of give away one of the twists of the story. Not all the twists, just one of them. So if you guys don't want to hear like a minor spoiler that doesn't take away from the story, but it might like take away one of the twists, and obviously don't watch this. But if you guys don't care, stick around. So the premise is this: 15 students go to a nature school, and they go on this like vacation to a beach. While they're on the beach, one of the students points out to a cave, and they all go into this cave because they follow the leader. And when they get inside, they meet a guy named, and I wrote it down, I don't know his name I can't pronounce it, but Kokobelli, or Pelli, I believe his name is. Now, Kokobelli asks them a question. He says, "Do you want to play a game?" If that reminds you of Saw, well, you're not alone. I was thinking the same thing. Want to play a game? He's like Jigsaw almost. And in some ways, this anime is just as evil as Saw. Not obviously to the same extent. There's no like heavy gore in this one, but being tricked into something. So these kids, they don't know any better, right? They go, yeah, we'll play this game. What are we going to do? Defend Earth? Oh, that sounds like fun. They all have to touch this this device. I don't know the name of it. It's been a while since I watched the show, maybe like a couple months. I don't remember like specific details like that. Anyhow, so they touch this device, and they get transported. They wake up, basically. They don't get transported. They wake up, and they're kind of confused exactly what happened. And they also probably agreed to a contract. That was part of the touching. And that comes into play in one of the episodes later on, and we'll not spoil that part. Anywho, when they, come to, a big mecha appears, and that mecha, they have to fight. Now, the problem is they don't really know how to, so mecha appears on their side as well, and this guy, Kokobelli, pilots it for them. And while he pilots it for them, he shows them how to use it, and they end up defeating the other one, and he explains, like, the whole weaknesses behind these different mechas. Basically, it's like a pod area, and if you crash it, then it destroys the whole thing. I'm not going to get into what that is. That's a whole nother spoiler for the story. Anyhow, once Kokobelli does, he showed them what to do, we don't see him ever again, and then subsequently, every single time a mecha will appear, these kids will have to be the pilots. Now, here is the spoiler aspect of the story, and I have to say it because I can't really express why this anime affected me without discussing it, and that is when the first kid pilots this, they call it the Zerf, and he defeats the opposing nightmare frame. Just kidding. The mecha. One of the kids, and I have his name here, Joan Yushiro. He touches him, and the guy falls off the mecha and dies. And so they thought that June killed him. And the reason why they thought June killed him was because June's kind of a dick in this story. I mean, all the kids are kind of weird, but June specifically is really evil, and he actually he like beats up his sister too. He's not a good guy, but he kind of is though. If you watch a story, you'll kind of grow to love him because they explain why, and Anyway, I don't want to go into details for that. That's actual spoilers. So anyways, he touches the guy, he falls over, and they think he killed him. It turns out there's a twist in this story, which is this Zerf, this gigantic mecha, runs on a specific kind of energy. And that energy is people. Each pilot, when they pilot this mecha, they're going to die afterwards. That's basically what this Mickey Mouse robot thing tells them. That orders them around. Like, is that Mickey Mouse? It's like some kind of Mickey Mouse robot flying thing that follows them around and commands each pilot to go and use his mecha. And the reason why this is such a disturbing concept and why it, why he was very what's the word? Like it was uncomfortable watching this story, because every time a character was chosen to pilot this mecha, you knew they were going to die. They knew they were going to die, and they had to figure out a way to cope with that. And so it's very depressing because some people didn't respond well to it. One guy went crazy and he nearly raped a girl. That was not great. Some people were like, "Yeah, I'm doing this for my family, and I'll go forward with it." And I guess I should mention that if they don't pilot this mecha, by the way, then Earth will be destroyed. So they're basically told, you either pilot this and you'll die, or everyone dies. And that's a very difficult situation for these kids to deal with, because many of them are obviously very young and they can't comprehend the consequence of that. But the kids do, for the most part, agree to this, which is one of the most stirring parts of the story. But just taking a step back and thinking about my own life, and I don't really think about if this was, if today was your last day, that song from Nickelback. But if this is your last day, how do you spend it? What do you do? What do you think about? And some of these kids, I give the story credit. They really handled well. Some did not. And it's like, it's also weird too, because they're all going to be picked at one point to pilot this thing. So I guess one of them, the winner, wouldn't die. But they don't know who that's going to be. So each kid's hoping they're not the one that's picked. And I guess in real life too, we feel the same way. Any day someone could die, we hope it's not us. And of course, if it was us, we'd be very upset. So it's upset be like that's a really bad way of putting it, but you know what I mean. It's just that whole uncomfortable feeling of knowing that the end could be any time, and literally, like, unless you're the lucky person who goes last, you're probably not going to live through this. And yet each kid kind of deals with it in their own way. And each kid, by the way, is very interesting. Each episode will go through like their backstory, why they're friends to begin with, and so you kind of feel more about them, even though some of the kids are just awful people. I'm not saying they should die, but they're not exactly great people themselves. So but you still care though. That's what I like about it. Even though they're not bad people, or they are bad people, you still feel invested into these characters. They spend enough time with their parents and their family and their friends, and eventually the government gets involved too, because when does the government not get involved when they see gigantic mechs fighting other gigantic mechs? And so they get involved, and an agent eventually joins them, and there's a whole subplot with that, which was actually very interesting and very emotionally gripping too, which surprised the heck out of me, because this story is it's all over the place with that stuff. I would love to go further in details like the story, but again, this is a non-spoiler review. But I already spoiled one thing, but there's like major stuff that happened that's just, people say this story is absolutely insane, and yeah, it really is. It's completely surprised me on that part. The next thing I want to discuss when it comes to the story, obviously besides the characters and the plot, is the mecha battles themselves. Now, this is a story where the mecha battles are, how do I put this? They are important because they have to win each battle to save Earth, but they're kind of in the back. They're not like the main draw. The draw is the kids and their struggles. But what they do with the mechas, they have they're very slow moving devices. We watch shows like Gundam or Code Geass, right? Even Neon Genesis Evangelion, where all the mechs, they just go really fast and you feel like there's no gravity. But these things, they move very slow, and you feel every single movement of the legs. Like you're watching them fight in a town, and of course, I'm not sure how. I believe it's wherever the kids are, the mech will appear. So the kids try to be in areas where they won't be in cities. But anyhow, when these things are moving, you see them crushing buildings, cars, houses, and no one's safe, by the way, which is kind of a minor spoiler on that part. But you feel every single movement. And I can't remember a mech I've watched where you feel every single movement when the thing is flying, is going across into battle. And it also makes the combat more tense than you would think, because if you move the mecha, and each person has their energy to do it, which also plays into part two, because if they're not, now let's say they're emotionally not in the right mindset, they won't win the battle. which is a whole nother aspect to the fighting. But if they don't use their energy correctly and they move their mecha in the wrong direction with the arm and they miss, that can be very costly. I mean, the difference between winning and losing in these battles is literally moving the wrong way or not figuring out what your opponent can do. It's a very slow, methodical fight, which is something I don't see often in mecha, even in like the big ones, because I don't want to go into a whole history of mecha, but the old stuff was very, like, as I said, like speed, quickness. There wasn't a whole lot of like, you couldn't really relish in the fight. You couldn't really, like, there was no anticipation because everything just moves so fast. And with this fight, there's a lot of anticipation because they're both like going really slow to each other, and then they're both attacking each other, and it's very slow, like, which is realistic because usually mechas don't do that stuff. And I'm not saying mechas that move really fast like Code Geass and Gundam are bad. I'm just saying it was nice change of pace to see something that was a little more realistic. And speaking of the mechas themselves, each one they fight is really cool. They all have like the same kind of design. They have like a bunch of lights in the front, which I'm not gonna say what that is, but I figured it out. And if you do figure out while you're watching the show, you're gonna be like really, you're gonna be disturbed, but also like feel good about yourself because you're like, oh, that's what that was. But anyhow, the different ones they fight are all well designed. There's like one that was like a big blade. It was like they're so ridiculous, but yet it works. I can't explain it, but it's really good stuff. And each fight was really tense. There's like this great music that plays too during each one. It's like a ticking clock or something. It's really good stuff. I was definitely surprised. Again, not like the best part of the story, but I think the mecha fighting itself is worth checking out if you like mecha anime. Beyond that, the animation, this is probably one that may not win over people. It's not the greatest. The kids look terrible. It looks like something made from like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I guess I was thinking about this. Maybe the reason why the quality of the animation is not so good because the story itself is kind of grim. Why make really beautiful characters if they get killed off in awful ways? So I guess it kind of fits the theme. At the same time, though, I will say that it could have been a little better. It's definitely one of the parts not the biggest fan of. But from a positive standpoint, the intro install is very good, very memorable. I never skipped it when I was watching the story. And we were watching intro too. Each of the characters, doing their thing. Again, a lot of foreshadowing in the story, and there's a lot of that too. I guess I'll say for closing thoughts about Bokurano, because again, I can't go further into it because it gets really crazy. But it's a good story with a small amount of characters you get really close to, and even though you know that technically most of them are not going to live, you still hope that they could, and they keep trying to like pull your heartstrings, like, oh, maybe the scientists find a way to maybe fix it, or they can do this, and you're like, they probably won't, but you're hoping they will, and that like, very emotional story. And again, maybe we think about a lot about my life, which is most anime don't do that. This one absolutely did. I give it like an 8 out of 10, and the reason why I give it 8 out of 10 is because the last part of this anime, again, no spoilers, but I wanted more, and the story didn't give me enough. I'm not sure there's a manga based on this or more content in general, because I was thinking, man, you just opened like the floodgates to a whole universe of stuff, and you kind of ended there, and I was like, not my favorite part of the story. But overall, this is a great anime. I mean, if you liked Neon Genesis Evangelion and you like psychological drama, mind break, mecha stories, I think you'll like Bokurano. It's definitely one of my favorites, and it was a big surprise. I had no expectations. People said it was absolutely amazing, and they were right. So definitely check it out. I believe it recently got, I'm trying to think which site just got it recently. Was it, I don't remember which one it was. I'll when I re-upload this out, I'll tell you guys which one it was. But I know it's on streaming sites now, so you can watch it legally. It might have been Funimation. I'm going to say Funimation has Bokurano if I had to make a guess. But yeah, that's Bokurano. I don't want to go too much more into it, but it's a damn good show. Okay. Let's go through some comments, and then we'll get on to the main attraction. All right, let's take a look. Code Geass Anime Fan. Hi. How's it going? Neo Zoic. Oh. Neo Zoic. Yes, if you're watching this, I'm going to do the kill count for R2. Believe it or not, I actually got through a lot of the episodes when you last asked me about it, And then recently I went through and I got through all episodes of Code Geass Arc 2. I have to start counting stuff up and figuring out the stats and all that, but I at least got through the whole thing, which is an accomplishment because Arc 2 is a mess when it comes to the amount of people that get killed in each episode. It is so hard to follow it that a lot of times I was just guessing, which is unfortunate. But it'll still be like 9% accurate, which is fine. Stage 19 is certainly a good one because it's the first episode where Schenizels gets to shine. Yeah, Stage 19 is one of those episodes where when I first watched it, I was like, this is the stupidest thing I ever watched. With all like the, the nude scene with Kallen, and Euphy was basically naked, and then eventually I was like, what's the point of this? But you go through it again, it actually makes more sense. There's good dialogue too, so I had mixed feelings about episode 19. On one end, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of weird. The other end, I'm like, okay, the older I get and I watch the episode, the more I appreciate the nuances behind it. So it's actually pretty good, all things considering. I'm surprised Kallen wasn't already in the game. I guess they wanted to build up the suspense. No, Code Geass anime fan, I appreciate the trying to get them a pass there. No, they released an unfinished game. That's all it really is. They didn't have it. She wasn't ready. It's the thing where they released it. Or it was already delayed, by the way. It was supposed to come out like I think in September or something, and they released it in October. And they are still not finished with the game. They're just not finished. That's what it comes down to. They also, maybe they wanted to see how people were going to respond to the game, like through gameplay and figure out, okay, is it balanced, not balanced? Should we tweak stuff, not tweak stuff? But overall, I think they just didn't have the game finished. I know the suspense thing might seem like a good pass, but in my opinion, they just didn't have it ready. But hey, we'll see. Can I just say that there's a amount of trash that comes out of Charles and Schneider's big mouths can fill up the entire continent of Antarctica. Them animals gonna eat good. Yeah, they're both full of it. At least with Charles, he was like kind of lying or pretending, but with Schneisel, no, you're absolutely right. That's what he believed. In fact, Schneisel does some pretty messed up stuff in these episodes. It's very subtle. It's not directly evil, but if you really think about Schneissel's personality, especially when we learned him in R2, it was pretty bad stuff. I'll definitely point out as we go through this. What if question? What if Cornelia learned about Zero's identity and Lelouch against his own country, which takes place before the formation of Saz of Japan? That could have happened in Stage 7, but it didn't. What would have happened if Cornelia learned about Zero's identity? Are you saying like Lelouch revealed it to her, or she found out in a different way? Maybe through investigation, or let's say Euphy spilled the beans. If that was the case, then I think Zero would have been screwed. They would have just came to Ashford and arrested him. That would be the end of that. It would have been a very good story. But yes. Coco Melon? I think it's about Coco Pelli, I'm not sure. I'm surprised that Zero Lelouch didn't make Toto as second in command instead of Oghi, because Toto has more experience. Don't get me wrong, I understand why Zero chose Oghi as a lieutenant. Oghi gets a lot of crap. I actually experienced that like recently this week. Actually today, if I'm going to be accurate. But Oghi was more of a, what did Diethard say, like the everyman? He put him in charge because he wanted someone who the average person could look up to, basically. And he was also in charge of the original terrorists that started the Black Knights. So to appease them, they put Oghi in charge. And there is actually a scene in one of these episodes, I believe it's actually this one, where Oghi actually solves a dispute between the two sides. So he's not entirely useless. But I will definitely agree, after watching the story in more depth, that when it comes to other people who could have been in charge in that position, Oghi probably wasn't the most qualified. Although isn't Toto like in charge of all military affairs? That's pretty high up there for the guy who was second to Katase. So that's not a terrible position. Was there any organized crime in Code Geass? My memory is kind of fading over time. I hope you just mean Code Geass and I in general. But was there any organized crime? Well, when they were trying to find Mao, I believe someone said the Chinese Federation or Chinese people were in like gangs or something. So there could have been that. I'm pretty sure the Black Knights took over all the gangs anyways. They united everyone at some point. Other than that, I don't think so. I definitely don't remember there being any as well. Britannia conquered the United States in the show, right? No, I think they are United States. I don't know the history of Britannia. I'll have to look into that. I thought they were the United States. That always confused me, but oh, they did. Okay. Honest to God, I'm not a big fan of how that worked. I know there's a book that discusses it. I'm glad someone answered, though. It's the main nation, though, I'm pretty sure. I thought they were, like, the same, but I was kind of confused about that one. I kind of wish I showed what the U.S. looked like under Britannia control, like Las Vegas or New York, how they ran that stuff. The anime's pretty dark. They're just kids. Come on. Yeah. Bokurano was very dark. The Revolutionary War, it's British one. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't really like the idea of Suzaku and Euphemia being a couple. I would rather have Suzaku be Lelouch or Anya. Suzaku and Anya? That's a weird one. That's a weird pairing. I have never thought of that. Anya is much younger than him. I didn't think they had any chemistry. That's a very strange one. Suzaku and Euphemia, I know some people don't like their couple, but when I think about more, I'm running a video discussion about their relationship. I find that they do complete each other in some level because Suzaku and Euphemia, they both understand each other in a way that no one else does, and Euphemia is one of the only people who doesn't hate Suzaku for what he did and wants him to love himself. Because Suzaku legitimately wants to die because of what he did to Genbu. And so the fact that Euphemia is like, no, you don't hate yourself, we'll work together on this, and she gave him a lot of emotional support. And through Suzaku, Euphemia was able to do something actually constructive because no one takes her seriously if you notice the entire story. Everyone's like, oh, it's just Euphy, just who cares about her? Yeah, Euphy, whatever you say, honey. I got more important things to do. Like when she even made Suzaku a knight, Cornelia's like, you shouldn't have done that, right? And she's like, well, I mean, what's wrong with that? Well, we are very prejudiced against 11s. Well, I'm going to change that. Okay, whatever you say. She even tells Lelouch in this episode that like Cornelia doesn't listen to her, and Schenizels also kind of doesn't either. They treat her like a child, so the only person she actually could make real change with was with Suzaku. So they both complete each other in that respect. That's why I thought they were a decent couple. Maybe they went kind of fast in the story. Maybe it was a little contrived. But from that point of view, I had no problem with them being a couple. I'm actually kind of sad it doesn't work out. But, that's anime for you. Ew. Indeed. There aren't any hints of Anya liking Suzaku. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Any thoughts of character Ray from Code Geass Lost Colors? Okay, my thoughts on this character are the following. He's got a nice design. If I can get a PS2 emulator, I think it's PS2, right? Emulator working on my computer, man, I can just play the game on stream. That might be kind of fun. I heard it wasn't bad. Or I don't have any real thoughts on it. I actually don't mind Suzaku and Anya being a potential couple. They have decent chemistry, personality-wise, and a few good scenes together. I don't know. I mean, look, you guys can, like, if you see it, that's great. I don't know. Well, it's not done yet, but yes, thank you for graduating that. I'll pass on this anime. I mean, Bokurano is pretty. It's a pretty dark story, so I get it. It's not everyone's favorite. If you want to watch a very dark, grim story that like deals with death and it's not a happy story. I'll say that much. I liked Anya more as a character than Euphemia because Anya was mysterious and cool. For me, Euphemia was too much of a goody type character. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. I think she just wanted to help you out so no one would have to like suffer death. I don't think she was a goody two shoes. I mean, she betrayed her own royal family to do certain things. I wouldn't call her necessarily a goody two shoes. She's a nice person. If that's what you're suggesting, she's a good person. She has a lot of love for other people. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's the scene in this episode where she's gonna fight with Kallen, and if she was a goody two shoes, she would have acted a little differently. She considers everyone equal and likes everyone the same. I don't know. She's like Layla. Layla's not a goody two shoes, but she happens to like everyone the same. So I don't know. I think Suzaku needed someone like Euphemia in his life. Someone who doesn't make him feel like crap. Someone who understands him. Someone who gives him love and affection. They complete each other in that regard. Because Suzaku hates himself, and she's saying, don't hate yourself. And you need someone like that to kind of help you up through the times of bad times. And let's be honest, Suzaku goes through a lot of bad times in his life. A lot of guilt. But to each their own, I guess. One of my favorite things in Stage 19 was seeing Schenizels and Lloyd interact with each other. Yeah, those two, they got good chemistry. Fun fact, in Super Robot Wars, where all the famous mecha anime are connected in the same universe, Lelouch comes back, shows intelligence, and makes everyone surprised and scared how smart he is. Is that the recent one, or just all of them? Anime fan, that's kind of the point of Euphy's character. She's probably one of the most pure characters in the show, and Lelouch completely destroyed that. Really tragic. Yes, That's the point. That's who she is. I'm going to highlight that too. That's really the point in a nutshell. That's Euphy's character. That's why, again, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think she ever was a goody two shoes. I think she just was a nice person. I maybe I'm misunderstanding that. I think the fan service in episode 9 is awkward to say the least, but the actual story was really good, and everything with Schenizels was epic. I guess that's a good way to put it. I think the reason why Oghi was second in command was because he was leader of the Black Knights before Zero took over. Right. Remember they told him that. They said in 18, like, hey, you were our leader originally. And Zero knows that too. He's one of Zero's good, Lelouch's intelligence is interpersonal. And he knows how to keep people, working together. And that actually comes up this episode as well. So he knows that if he puts Oghi in charge, he's going to appease his troops so they won't rebel against him. Same with Toto. And of course, Kallen. Being able to put people in the right positions to succeed is a good leader, but also being able to understand, read the room and figure out who should be with who for motivations. And obviously, everyone has certain issues working with each other. I mean, Diethard, for example, is a Britannian. No one likes Britannians, so they're working with him. There might be issues between Oghi and, let's say, the Four Holy Swords. There's a bunch of, to get all these people from different organizations and backgrounds to work together, you have to understand the motivations behind each one to get them all to cooperate. And that's why, again, putting Oghi in charge was a big deal in that respect. Anya is 2 years younger than Suzaku. Since Suzaku is 18, that's kind of... I don't know. What if Euphemia joins the Black Knights? Could be before or after Saz. How would it affect Lelouch and Suzaku's relationships, reactions, because, etc.? I don't think Euphemia was going to join the Black Knights. I mean, besides Saz, she had no intention. That wasn't really joining the Black Knight. That was working with Lelouch. She never would. She wouldn't resort to terrorism. I can't see a scenario that she would unless it was Geass forced, which would have been kind of interesting. Euphemia of the Black Knights, but no, I don't think she would have joined the Black. I can't think of a reason why she would do that, considering their ideas are antithetical to hers, and she knows Lelouch is in charge. She's known Lelouch is in charge since the hostage rescue, which is revealed in this episode, so I don't think she would have done that. It's not a bad thought, but I don't think so. It's kind of sad with every single one of Lelouch's siblings. Basically, his entire family is full of people who are evil. The only ones who are good were Euphemia and Nunnally. I like how you don't say Lelouch in that regard as well. That's funny. Pretty sure fanfics about that. Mainly Suzaku gets the short end. Suzaku haters are quite mean. Yeah, you got that part right. Though not only is his true family his actual sister, who the hell did Charles do before Mariana have a bunch of kids? I think he has 4 wives. I don't know their names, but if you go on the Wikipedia, you got 4 wives. I feel like Nunnally and Euphemia are the 2 least interesting characters in Code Geass because they're too pure of heart to be compelling and complex as everyone else. I think there's some complexion with Euphemia because while she's a nice person, she says many times that she hates herself. She has a very low self-esteem. She constantly feels like everyone is treating her like a child and no one takes her seriously, which, honestly, in a big family like that, is kind of depressing, being neglected. Euphemia is a little neglected, and no one takes her too seriously. So it's not just she's a nice person, loves everyone. She's also kind of angry no one takes her seriously. And she also wants freedom, too, because she doesn't want to become a sub-viceroy. You remember in episode 4, she jumped out the window. Well, she didn't try to kill herself, but she jumped out the window because she wanted to escape. Since it was her last time to be in freedom. After that, she had to work under Cornelia, and she had to take the sub-viceroy and had to be part of this whole royal family thing. She tells Lelouch in 22, which is a little ahead of ourselves, but she gave her right to the throne because she didn't want any of this. And because it was forced on her, it kind of messed with her a little bit. So there's definitely elements, there is depth to Euphemia's character. Now, Nunnally, I will agree, there isn't much about Nunnally. I mean, she wants to be with Lelouch. That's kind of it, and she's dealing with the trauma of what happened to her in the past. Although, to be fair, they don't really discuss it much. There's one scene where she tells Lelouch, I don't have the nightmares again. And that's all I can recall of her ever thinking about what happened when she was shot, and Marianne's death and all that stuff. Euphemia's got a lot of depth. Not only I would agree, there's not a whole lot there. But that's the point of those 2 characters. The only 2 good members of Lelouch's family are the entire family of scumbags. Well, I mean, maybe the one with the red pigtail, she wasn't awful. Not Maribel, the other girl. Honestly, I wish we got to see Nelly more as a viceroy, building her up as Rise Empress of Britannia. Yeah, they didn't really do much of that. You know, Nelly kind of seemed like Euphemia too when she was in charge, because she was trying to make a nice world for the Britannia, the Japanese as well. You know, kind of doing what Euphy did and just doubling up on it. She didn't really seem that much different than Euphemia when you think about it with her policy as viceroy. And of course, even Nelly wasn't taken seriously either, so that at least continued, that trend. Making Suzaku and Anya a couple is just kind of weird. It's like making Lelouch and Kage an official couple, despite the weirdness of it. Yeah, the age difference is one thing. Again, I just like Anya and Suzaku were comrades as the Knights of the Round. I never saw them as potential lovers. I never got any like romantic tension either. Like, yeah, they got some scenes, but so what? You know, he talked to a bunch of people like that. I'm not seeing it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm some like expert here because there's no such thing in this context, but I'm not seeing it. I try really hard to figure out like even Guilford and Cornelia. I can actually see that as a couple. There's a little more evidence because of the way they hang out, and I could do a whole discussion on that another time. I think someone wants me to do that. Might have been Gladiator King. I'm not sure, but with Anya and Suzaku, that's a weird one. I don't know. It seems like a crack ship to me, but. I mean, at least with Kage and Lelouch, at least one of them actually showed interest. Suzaku and Anya never showed interest into each other. In fact, there's even a part in, I forgot which one it is, in R2, where Anya asked Suzaku a question like, are you a masochist? Why do you come to Japan if they hate you? And Suzaku's like, there was one person who understood me and they're gone now. And that indicated to me that Suzaku didn't want to love anyone ever again because of what happened with Euphemia. So, I don't think he wanted to be with anyone to begin with, and if he was to be with someone, it wouldn't be Anya. People keep forgetting Odysseus. He was a nice guy, too. Yeah, Odysseus was harmless to everyone, I guess. Yeah, there's only, like, the age difference isn't really the problem for me between Anya and Suzaku, because, yeah, they could easily, they're not too far in age, although it is still kind of weird, 18 and 15. But the real problem is that they just don't have any chemistry, and I don't think they even had like love each other. I don't know. It's just weird to me. How could Lelouch be born to a family that didn't even love their own brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers? It should have been obvious Charles was succumbing. He had 4 wives. That's literally not cool. I mean, but yeah, this is an old classic style of monarchy. So he loved Marion the most of all the wives. Not the best couple. No, the best couple is Cornelia and Schneisel. Yes, I ship that. I ship incest. I ship that so much. Okay. All right, I think we can get started with the 19. I think I got through all the stuff there. Okay, cool. All right, let me get to my banners. Get to my banners. And now what we can do, because I finally discovered the technology exists, you don't have to see my face side by side with the screen. I can actually put myself in front of it. Haha, you see? Now we don't have to give up area to show my face. So, how cool is that? Technology, man. It's growing. It's improving. Okay. So here's 19. 19 is a weird episode because the way it starts. You know, in case you want like a quick recap, last week basically, or last episode, it was last week too. Suzaku was in the nightmare frame with Lelouch, and they're about to fire the Hadra cannon from the Avalon, which was connected to the Gwain, and Lelouch uses Geass on Suzaku, and now all of a sudden we're on an island. And, okay, like what happened here? Now, one thing, and I want to point this out, because Ryan, who's, he's been like responding, he thinks Lelouch has intelligence when it comes to nature and stuff. And I will say, Lelouch does say something interesting in this episode to start. He goes, he figured out based on the trees and the terrain, this is an island that's not too far from Shikina Island. So I guess Lelouch has some understanding of nature to figure that out. That also could just be basic deductive skills, so I don't know if that's really intelligence of nature, but it's not a bad proof of it. They had some nature intelligence. The other examples, though, with him planting a garden, what was the other one? planting the garden, and the other one was the trap he dug here, which is that's not really nature, but understand the terrain and knowing where you are, you might have some argument there. Want to throw that out because Ryan's been asking me like, does this count? I'm like, maybe. I don't agree, but I think you could argue that. Now, hold on. I wanted to show you guys to start this episode. I don't know what it is about this face. It's not like it's not funny or anything, but I kind of thought it was funny. Give me a second here. Okay. Hopefully the sound's not on. So when the episode starts, by the way, you see Suzaku. He wakes up. And he has like this derp face. Maybe it's just me. Here, 1 second. Yeah. It's a really weird derp face. It could also be just exhaustion. I don't know. It's a funny expression he makes. Anyhow. Real important stuff there. So when the episode credits end, Suzaku, he sees Kallen. And we get our second Kallen nude scene if you're keeping track. The first one is in episode 3. And if you buy the Blu-ray edition, you can see her naked. Just like you can see her naked here. Which is, hey, whatever. I'm not saying good or bad thing. Mostly a bad thing. I'm not a big fan of this scene. This was one of those... This is the part of the episode that always like surprising. It's like, okay, you see Kallen naked. And you're like, okay, so she's on an island. And she may take her clothes off to take a bath. I mean, how long ago was it between the time that they were on the island of Shikino and Kamina? Like, that was their only priority to take a shower? I mean, obviously it was fan service. Thank God the photos I have don't show the nipples. I don't want to get a strike there. But what happens here is Suzaku sees Kallen, and Kallen's like, what? And then she puts on the what's it called? The Black Knight uniform and tries to stab Suzaku. He turns over, and he's on top of her, and he arrests her. He has the best view in the house, if you will. This is one of those scenes that's just... Now, one thing... There's a couple of questions I have about this scene. A couple that are kind of like... Maybe nitpicky, but I've always wondered. Okay, let's go through them. First of all... Okay, when Kallen sees Suzaku here... Right? He's like, okay, what's up? Her expression is very... Oh, you know what? I don't want you guys to... She's... when Lelouch saw her naked, she blushed. She was, like, really embarrassed. Suzaku sees her naked, and she literally doesn't respond at all. She's just, okay. I'm not going to continue this clip for obvious reasons, but she was just kind of like, okay. She didn't seem to really mind much or care. Maybe it was the adrenaline of her, like, survivor or whatnot. It was just bizarre, because Kallen usually doesn't like these situations. In the story, she always seems to blush when people... expose her in weird ways. It could be either her emotional relationships or just literally no clothes. But here she's like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to kill you now. It just kind of bizarred me. And then the other thing that's odd about this scene is that, okay, Suzaku puts her under arrest, right? So what happens after that point? She's naked, like, she's naked, and he's holding her to the ground. Then next thing you see her, she's tied up with her suit on. So am I... supposed to assume that he let her go, she put her uniform on, and then he tied her up. Wouldn't she have ran away during that point or fought back? Or did he put the uniform on her and then tied her up? It's, again, I know you're probably thinking, like, who cares? But it's just like, it's just kind of weird because Kallen tries to run away later on in the episode, so she clearly would have gotten away if she could have. It's like, so what exactly happened between, from this to this? It's one of the great mysteries of our time. How does Suzaku keep Kallen down? We'll never know. Okay, so there's that. Now, something else, too, that I noticed in a dialogue. Suzaku thought Japanese people were in the Black Knights because when you see Kallen approaching Suzaku, she says, I'm Japanese or something. Because he thought she was Britannian, so he said, why are you in the Black Knights or something? Even though Diethard's in the Black Knights. But I guess Suzaku at this time only thinks that Japanese people are in the group, even though it's now multiracial background, whatever. There's all kinds of people in there. But I guess Suzaku didn't know that? It was kind of interesting. Pretty good dialogue, I think, in that regard. Now, Kallen gave away Zero's identity by saying, find out for yourself. And Suzaku's like, oh, you don't know either. And Kallen didn't like that. Suzaku tricked her. Because she didn't figure it out. Or she gave away who Zero was. Then we get to one of the emotional highlights of the episode where Euphemia knows Lelouch is Zero. She tells him that I've known since the hostage rescue, which was much later on in the episode. So she knew since then. I forgot that it happened in the dialogue, and I made mention in stage 8 that Lelouch basically gave away who he was to her in that scene, and she kind of reveals that as well. And she tells Lelouch, I didn't tell anyone about your identity. Please, can I see your face before you shoot me? And she's obviously very emotionally. She's very happy to see him alive after all these years. So that kind of ends that point. Meanwhile, everyone's trying to find Suzaku and Euphemia, and of course no one is confused on how they just literally vanished. They don't know where they went. It's kind of bizarre, but there is that. We get to this scene, which is both adorable and kind of upsetting, where Schenizels and Lloyd are talking. This is, of course, Schenizels' first appearance in the story, like in person. Like we saw his hand in the last one, but he's actually talking to people. He kind of he surprises Cecile, who falls on the floor. He helps her up, and she's, of course, in awe of royalty. And I use this actually in my recent shorts video that I made. And she, again, awestruck. I think he even kisses her hand. She's blushing there, which is kind of cute. But then we get to this part where she asks him a question, and I went back and forth on what Schneizel said, and I don't think it makes any damn sense. She asked him, okay, what was the plan? Were you literally going to put Suzaku's life in danger? And then Schneizel says, if something bad happened, then, we planned for it, I guess. Suzaku is the ace of the engineering corps. He will have been fine. And I'm thinking, how would he have been fine? Because the Hadrigan was firing right at this pit. If Suzaku wasn't going to live through that, and they knew that, he told Cecile there was priorities in stake. I guess Zero's life was, killing him was more important than Suzaku. But if something bad happened, they'd be ready for it. I'm thinking, what were they going to do exactly? They had no nightmare frames to get Suzaku out of there. It was a really strange, weird explanation he gave to Cecile that was kind of bullcrap. But Cecile kind of bought it and said, I'm sorry for even asking, I'll take any punishment. And what I interpreted from this scene was Schneizel demonstrates his first example of being a very manipulative person, because he convinced Cecile, someone who likes Suzaku, might even love him, I'm not sure. There's questions about that, at least later on in the story. Early on, who knows, that killing Suzaku was the good plan, and more importantly, even if something bad happened, we were going to take care of him. And we know they were not going to do anything to help Suzaku in that scene, but she believed it, which, again, shows you Schneizel's manipulative attitude. Again, there's nothing, dark or malicious in this scene, but if you go, take a step back and think about what's happening here, he's literally convincing her of something awful they planned was actually going to be a good thing. He even goes I'm so sorry, Cecile. I should be looking after my own subordinates. Can you ever forgive me? What an asshole. And a good villain though, but you like villains who can use kindness, can be really kind, but they're evil. Like what Schneider said here was just so asinine, and she believed it, which was, man. Not much was happening in this scene, action wise, but you learn a lot about Schneider in his first dialogue he has with anyone in the story, which is kind of interesting. Anyhow, Euphemia has to go naked too because one was enough, and she's wearing Lelouch's clothing. I assume it's because her clothing was wet and they were drying it off. And of course, I think she also used the bathroom too. I don't know where, because she said being relieved made me hungry. It was over here. It's kind of cute, her expression she makes. Before that, Lelouch says, what happened to Marion, and Euphemia says that Cornelia's been investigating stuff, but she has no idea what came of it. She also implies Cornelia doesn't even listen to her, which is kind of depressing. And she asks Lelouch, is he Zero or Lelouch here? And he is Lelouch, which makes her happy because these two haven't seen each other in 7 years, and their only interaction before that was in a hotel hostage situation. They only have 3 moments with each other in the entire series where they get to talk, as siblings, not as enemies. There's this one, there is 21, and there's 22, and 22 wasn't great. So there isn't many scenes of Lelouch and Euphemia having time together. But when they do, it's actually really good. So it's one of the parts where it makes you wonder a what if scenario if they in fact were together or not a couple, but like they could actually live in a peaceful time. What could have been, but it's a story, so that stuff doesn't happen. So she wants to eat food, and so Lucius figured out there was some kind of tracks of an animal, and he's digging a trap for her. And she's enjoying this because it reminds her of a time when they were, kids. I'm guessing because she says, I'll find berries, and he goes, okay, go for it. And she's just having a good time because again, they haven't seen each other in 7 years, and they're kind of playing around as like I guess teenagers, which is kind of funny. It's a cute scene actually. You don't have much slice of life moments like this in the story, so I'll take all the ones I can get, especially with characters who I think are generally good people, at least when they're acting like this. Euphemia always, Lelouch, well, it depends. I forgot to mention before that, you see Kallen and Suzaku hanging out, and Suzaku is catching fish. I believe there was a bad dubbing of this where he said, I'll pleasure myself with this fish. I think it was a dub or something. It was kind of funny. But anyways, they're talking, and he said, I'll untie you if you help me out. And Colin's like, yeah, no thank you. And he's like, oh man, you're real stubborn. Again, I'm kind of confused. If Suzaku untied Kallen, wouldn't she just run away? Whatever. So Lelouch also says, by the way, that manual labor is not for a princess. So even he respects Euphemia in that regard. So that's what's going on here. Now, while this is taking place, the Avalon flies over their submarine, which looks like something from Blue Submarine 6, if you guys have seen that film. But anyhow, they're having a conversation between Oghi, Toto, and Diethard. This is one of the best conversations in the entire story. They talk about like what is a nation and an organization. It's about people. Who's more important? Is it the people or the leaders? And Toto said it's the leader, the people, and Diethard said it's the leaders, and they go back and forth on the philosophy between that. It's a really good scene. I mentioned before in other episodes that anytime Diethard argues with anyone in this story about politics, it's like the best parts of the series. We don't get many dialogue like this, but when we do, it's really good stuff because Toto's like, how dare you see us as nothing, and Diethard's like, it's opposite. Without Lelouch, we're nothing. And he said, yes, we get results, but we still matter. And he said, okay, but who gives those results? And like I said before, starting this episode discussion, why is everyone working together? Who's the one who keeps everyone together despite the fact we got different, origins, races, all that stuff? It's Lelouch, which again speaks to his interpersonal intelligence. And they're basically going back and forth and arguing. Eventually, C2 comes in and says, Lelouch is alive, I know it. And this is kind of weird to me because I didn't know that Geass or code users know if the ones who have their Geass powers that came from them are still alive or not. I didn't know they had some kind of like connection of some sort because wasn't C2 surprised when she saw Mao? So if she knew that people who have Geass abilities are still alive, why was she surprised to see Mao? Or maybe she was surprised to see him because he was in the area, not because he was alive. They never really explains ever again like how she knows someone's alive or dead. It's one of those random things where it's like, I guess your mind kind of autocompletes and says, well, I mean, they have some kind of connection, so it's not too hard to believe that she could tell if someone who she gave a contract to was alive or not. They never really explain it. It's just kind of, they just throw it at you, lore with no, like, there's nothing to it. It's kind of frustrating. It's a bit nitpicky, but I was like, wait, she knows if he's alive? Interesting, okay. So does that mean at the end of Arc 2, she also knew he was alive when she said Lelouch? Alright, now I'm questioning everything now. I'm not even going to go that rabbit hole, but yes, if she knows if her people who have contracts are alive or not, then she must have known Lelouch was dead at the end of Arc 2, or didn't? Very interesting. Anyhow, she says he's alive. What's it called? Tamaki says, you should get nightmare frame training, dumbass. And she said, no one's told me that in a long time. And he's like, how you dare talk to a commanding officer? I'm like, C2 is higher ranking than you as Lelouch's mistress, whatever the heck that means. I like how they're also talking to her like as if she has any like say in the matter. It's kind of funny. Like C2 is kind of like a mainstays organization, which is kind of not. It's a very strange relationship. But Oghi resolves the conflict by saying, look, We'll park the sub, we'll wait a day, and then we'll leave. And I like how Oghi actually resolves this conflict with both sides being happy with the situation. So is Oghi the smartest, sharpest tool? No. In the toolbox, I guess the expression goes. But he did resolve this conflict, so I won't say he's complete crap. Now, here's the part where I am very confused. Like, this dialogue that happened with C2 opens a can of worms of confusion beyond belief. And I don't know if the writers who made this show, they didn't know what they were doing when they wrote this, but here's why this is confusing. I'm going to read the dialogue for you, actually, because I think it's best to not take it out of context and read exactly what she says. So let me get there real quick. I should have it ready, but I guess I wasn't thinking about it at the time. Okay. Okay, give me a second here. Okay, here's what happens, right? She says, "For heaven's sake, I was forced to talk with that boring little man thanks to your silly prank. You sent Kallen to the island? You're a very poor taste for being such an imperious observer." Imperious? I can't read. Whatever. Here's why this part confuses the heck out of me. If she was talking to V2, which is the one who transported them to the island, doesn't that mean V2 knows where she is and can go find her anytime he wants to, and therefore Charles knows where she is and they can get her anytime they want? I also didn't think she could talk to V2 and only Marianne. Marianne did transport them, it was V2, so this dialogue makes absolutely no sense. Really hurt my head. I was like, wait, but V2 transported them. She was talking to V2 telepathically with Marianne? Were they all in on it? I thought they hid Lelouch from V2 so he, wouldn't kill them. Him and not only they said they're in the Ragnarok connection. So I'm absolutely lost as to what the heck is going on with this. It's a simple conversation, but it's extremely confusing because I thought C2 and V2 were enemies, and more importantly, they were, she was trying to run away from him. So why would she talk to him and communicate directly? And I didn't think she was even talking to him directly. This is really weird. I got to do more investigation as to what exactly was going on here. But the conversation between these two didn't make any damn sense. So there's that. I got to figure out what was going on with this because when I was watching, I'm like, wait, but how? And okay, I don't know. Anyways, we get back to something a little less confusing. Lelouch is talking to Euphemia, and he looks really sad, actually. This is what Lelouch, I guess, normally is like when he's not trying to murder lots of people and start a rebellion. He is just, a normal person, I guess. He couldn't catch us. He looks really upset because he couldn't catch anything with his trap. And Euphemia's like, it's okay, Lelouch. You'll get it next time. Again, it's a nice slice of life moment. I didn't really appreciate it when the first time I watched the episode, but there's actually good, there's good slice of life stuff here. Now back to Kallen and Suzaku. Kallen ate a lot of food. She's very happy about it. And she gets upset when Suzaku compliments her, normal kindness, I guess. And he tells her to lead the Black Knights, and she's saying she won't do it because what they have now isn't really peace. And they go back and forth about what's the right option. I think this dialogue could have been a lot better. Not because of what they said, but I think they should have gone further with it. And while Suzaku has good points, I think Kallen has better ones. Should have just kept strong on her arguments because she was saying how, we're not really in peace and you're a lapdog for Britannia. How are you going to make any change? And Suzaku's like, yes, but are you going to really accomplish anything by killing lots of innocent people? So they're going back and forth on this. It's a decent discussion, but I think Kallen gave it way too easily when they went back and forth on it. Especially when Suzaku's like, let me bring my dad into this, and then we'll see how you feel about, who's right or wrong about this. Then we go back to Euphemia and Lelouch, and they're discussing the idea of how they wish they could go back to the way things were. Oh, this picture's bad. Hold on. Oh, there's a image here. Yeah, I just skipped it. yeah, when they were kids, they all used to hang out, look at the stars. It's kind of adorable. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing an OVA that discusses the kids when they were growing up. Not like a picture drama like we have already, but like them actually as kids just hanging out. It'd be a nice OVA. I'm not sure why they never made it. But they're just hanging out and watching the stars. And that's how things used to be before, the bad times, the dark times, if you will. And Lucia's like, yeah, it'd be nice if things could go back to the way they were, but they never will. Meanwhile, Kallen and Suzaku continue to go back and forth because he's like, I killed Genbu, and because of that, it wasn't a good thing. Genbu is like 0. They both in a roll revolves around them. He tells Kallen that, I'm not saying you should quit, but will you actually accomplish anything if you do this? And she says, well, if what you're saying is true, why did my brother die? And Suzaku has no real response to that. And the conversation kind of ends here. I would have liked if it continued on. I think there's more points to make, like how will you make the change? What if people who can't make change, who are not in positions of authority? They continue this discussion to like literally the last episode of the story, but I think having more back and forth dialogue between the characters would have been good, but it never really goes beyond that. It's annoying because I think this discussion between how to make change is very important, and this might be a little bit of a sacrilege, but it kind of reminds me when Miles and Scar had a discussion in Brotherhood about how to make change, because Scar was doing it through killing all the state alchemists, and Miles wanted to join, how about I say Britannia? I'm just kidding. A Mistress to make change from within. They had a similar dichotomy between Kallen and Suzaku. So, it's good to have the dialogue discussions or back and forth discussion about this, because this is literally one of the critical debates in the story. And these are two biggest people spearheading the opposing sides. So, yeah, we don't get much besides this, which is a little depressing. Euphemia is sleeping and Lelouch is watching her. Lelouch is contemplating his life. Suzaku's contemplating his own. Then we see the Avalon has parked, and the more they're going to look for Euphemia and I guess that's probably it, and Suzaku. They find the entrance to this the thing where the thought elevator is being produced, all these different artifacts. In the morning, Suzaku is looking around with Kallen. She's undoing the ties, which again proves my point that if Suzaku tried to tie her up while she was naked but put on her clothes, wouldn't she just escape and attack him? I have no idea. They're also traveling around the same area because they both saw the searchlights, so they both want to see what it was. When they get to the thought elevator, and this was the part that I don't know why I missed this, but apparently, I think it was Lloyd or Bartley said that the reason why we're really conquering nations is not because we want to expand the territory, but because we want to get these artifacts, which reminds me a lot of Brotherhood, because in that story, they were engaging war in other countries because they're trying to make Philosopher's Stones. So I like the similarity between the two. And also in Brotherhood, they were trying to get the Philosopher's Stones to also carve the gigantic transmutation circle. I mean, obviously the stone was a side thing to do that, but the grand scheme of conquering all the countries was to, get that big thing going. So I like the parallels between the stories. We got the Gwain, which they were going to use to connect and translate the artifacts. Meanwhile, we get this funny scene where, it's funny, but, Lucius trying to escort Euphemia, but they run into Kallen and Suzaku, so he pretends to be Zero and holds Euphemia hostage, and they're going to exchange prisoners. And I think he's having more fun with Euphemia than he has in the past being Zero. It's kind of funny. Eventually, Kallen breaks through, and she holds down Suzaku and then tells Euphemia, "You're a puppet princess. You don't think for yourself or anything like that." And she's like, "What? Are you serious?" I love her expression she makes here. It's really funny. She commands Suzaku to fight, and which he does, but V2 gets involved, which again confuses the hell out of me because V2 can't talk to C2 telepathically, and if he could talk to C2 telepathically, that means he knew where she was and they would have captured her right away. And so that dialogue between whoever C2 was talking to was so stupid, at least from my initial analysis. Anyhow, Suzaku gets away, but because of V2, they land on top of this artifact, and because of that, they're like, "Oh my god, it's Zero!" And then Euphemia, they don't shoot Euphemia because obviously they don't shoot Zero because they could hit Euphemia. They find the Nightmare Frame, and Kallen takes out a bunch of troops. Suzaku, by the way, what I really like, they don't like emphasize it heavily in this episode, but if you look at Suzaku the whole time, he's clearly dazed, and he's kind of like looking out to like no man's land. And what I find interesting is I think, and I could be wrong, I think he had some kind of connection to V2 in this scene, because later on, C2 said, wait, are you the one who, and I believe she was referring to, you talked to V2, because Suzaku is in some kind of weird trance in this scene because of what's happened with the Geass powers. It's a very subtle, but I think actually it's a pretty good, it's a good scene because it foreshadows other stuff in the future, like how Suzaku is able to see C2 because again he had some interaction with code users. So they never really specifically clarify what happened here, but I think it was some connection with V2, which explains again the dialogue later on in the episode, or in a different episode. Then before that, I should say, so Zero gets in this nightmare frame. He figures out how to use it pretty quickly, which is impressive for someone like him. Kallen jumps on board. Somehow she's not hit by any of these bullets, but I guess it's an anime. It's okay. He didn't kill Schenizels, but he wanted to, which was funny. He almost had a chance. In fact, Lelouch almost killed Schenizels several times in the story, but never gets the chance. He gets on board. Kallen jumps on, and for the life of me, and I really know on this, why did she not get inside at any point? I don't understand how she hanged on long enough. Like, she never fell off this thing. I mean, this is a Gawain. It has 2 passenger spots, as we know. She could have jumped in at any point to get inside, and she never does. Is it a big deal? No, but it was kind of odd. I mean, when he fires the blast here, and I'll go to the actual scene in the episode. He almost killed Kallen. It was really bad discharge of weapons here. Look at this. So when they're traveling, he's like, we'll go through them, right? So watch this, okay? He fires the blast. See, he almost killed Kallen right here. I mean, that's reckless endangerment, man. He thought the weapons were ready to go, and he almost kills Kallen. Man, this is like the second time now Lucia's stupidity almost cost her life. But whatever, she clearly likes being around him. At least at Zero. It's just kind of weird how, and Lelouch also, it's kind of funny, I'm probably reading more into this, but he's like, man, the weapons are incomplete. Not, crap, I almost killed Kallen. It's just like, yeah, it's alright, the weapons were incomplete. Oh, darn it. Again, not to go back and forth on this, but he almost killed her. I don't know. I'm probably being a little nitpicky there. And so they're flying, right? And again, Kallen should get in the nightmare frame, and she never does. They're still flying away. We also got this epic laugh by Lelouch. I won't lie, this is pretty funny. His laugh here. It's pretty funny. But she never gets in the nightmare frame. It's also funny how Schneider is very he's relaxed, whatever, we'll get another one. It was just a prototype, He's upset, and he's like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. Also, Schneisel's really tall, you can't tell. He's 6'7". But he's happy that Euphemia is still alive, so that's good. So again, he flies away. Saku's he talks to Euphemia. Again, this smile, man, this is the complete opposite of who he is. This is the most deceptive thing about Schneisel's character. You think, oh, he's some pretty, pretty boy, but no. Schneisel is pure evil. At least he can be. Oh, so Suzaku is taken prisoner because we find out later on that Lelouch told Suzaku to live, and he betrayed orders because he wanted to live, which led to them being transported. They never exactly get the solution to why they were transported. One more thing too. Since they're talking about that while they're doing that, we see a part of Lelouch is on the Gawain. So again, look at this right here. She's still not in the nightmare frame. I don't understand why he didn't open it up for her. But, okay. It's a minor nitpick, but it just annoyed me because if she falls off the thing, she could be stranded in the water. I mean, what would make more sense? To take the risk of opening it to get her in there, or keep flying and hope to God nothing hits them while they're doing it? Turbulence or God knows what else. Yeah, it's what it is. And then, he gives him his knighthood or something. Oh, Cornelia mentions how they told him, like, Suzaku screwed up, and she was like, of course. And then the episode ends with the Chinese Federation, well, the Japanese invading Japan with the Chinese Federation support, and the episode ends promptly after that. That's the biggest. That's my thoughts on that episode. I have a lot of ideas about it, which shows you the episode has more depth than what I gave it for. Not always for the right reasons. Let me see if I have any extra points before I read some comments. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's something I was confused about. So, again, this is me like thinking weirdly. He tells Suzaku to live, right? Suzaku closes the nightmare frame hatch and he's piloting it. But the whole time, Lelouch is literally in front of him. Did that like not interfere with him commanding the Lancelot? Zero is literally in front of the command panel. Did Zero jump out when this occurred? They don't show it. It's like if you watch the scene in real time. Let's see. Yeah, so see, it shoots out. He tells him to live, and then hold on, we gotta watch the effects because he disables all the Geffen disturbers, and then Suzaku he closes the hatch, and you see the hatch here is closed. So Zero didn't get inside of his own burai. So Suzaku and Lelouch were caught in the same nightmare frame for a matter of minutes, possibly. Very interesting. They never really explained that. Again, it's a very strange take, but I was like, wait, what? But yeah, that's all my thoughts on the episode. Ultimately, even though I understand the nuance about it, I still don't like it. It's one of my least favorite in the story. Especially now when I think about the whole C2 scene, which, again, may not seem like a big deal, but it does kind of contradict previous lore. But then again, maybe it's because, again, R2 was a different direction they were taking the story, and so R1, some of the writing had to be thrown out. It's only I can rationalize whatever the hell just happened there. Okay, we'll go from the top to the bottom. I showed my friend the title of the anime, like Lelouch of the Resurrection and Lelouch the Rebellion. He was like, what's with the title? What's with the? I don't know. What's the title? They showed a little bit too much of Kallen. You actually can see the nips if you look closely. There's even where Viletta woke up in Oghi's bed. They showed the goods when she sat up. Yeah, we got that episode later. Yeah, if you see Kallen the whole time when she's bathing, you can see everything. The show is very unapologetic about getting Kallen naked in the story. I've never seen anime show things other than the butt. You haven't watched a lot of anime. Or you don't watch ecchi. That's what I meant to say. So I was completely weirded out. Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of ecchi either when I first watched Code Geass, so it was a bit of a surprise to me. But since that time I've watched Rosario Vampire, I've seen, High School of the Dead. So I'm used to seeing nudity. Or even, like, I think there was nudity in Helsing, so I'm not, like, completely surprised to it now. But at the time, yes, I agree with you. It was kind of strange. Again, that's why I gave it. I was like, what the heck's going on here? Kallen only gets embarrassed when it's brought to her attention. When Lelouch says, I can see you, then she gets embarrassed. She was more focused on trying to see is Lelouch is in the voice? Focus on trying to see is Lelouch in the voice. I guess. It's still interesting, though. She didn't even respond if the Zaku saw her naked. Well, that's what I guess from my perspective to see something count or not. Kallen here knows Zaku is the Lancelot pilot and her enemy, so it makes sense the situation was more of live or die. People don't care much about their appearance during those situations. I guess. That's a fair point. Although she did put the knife, she did take the outfit and cover her up before she took the knife. So maybe there was a little bit of embarrassment. Do you prefer the young characters like Lelouch, Suzaku, Kallen, Euphemia to be more young adult age, like 2024, to avoid awkwardness of fan service? Cough, cough, Kallen, Euphemia, cough, cough. Yes. One of the reasons why I like 00 so much is that all the characters are adults, so it's not weird when there's no fan service in the same way as Code Geass, but the relationships are more, they're not as weird. So I definitely agree. I would prefer if they were adults. The high school thing doesn't bother me. I don't mind high school anime, but I'll definitely agree that if they made the story with them adults, it'd be a lot better. Agito was even worse because Aino is 15 and they literally show her boobs or cleavage off all the time in the story, which is kind of insulting. And the game didn't care either and did the same thing, which is really insulting. So if they just made them all adults, it would have been a lot better. Way better. So I definitely agree. Code Geass could have been an adult story. It wouldn't have changed a whole lot. But the high school setting is a cheap way, and I say cheap, convenience is probably a better term. It's about as convenient as any other setting, I guess you could say, to get all the characters into like a one hub through most of the story. So there is that. But I definitely would prefer if they were adults. I think also because I'm an adult now, and I prefer that. When I was probably high school, I was in high school, so when I watched the show, I was like 19. It didn't bother me back then. I'm pretty close in age, but now I'm like 30, so it's a little different now. The reason why I brought up aging up the characters because besides fan service, people come up with a high school setting and wish Lelouch and others would set in college or non-school setting. Again, the setting isn't a problem. It's just the way they utilize it can be a little frustrating. I mean, college has problems too. So Suzaku took off his pilot suit to go catch fish. Does that mean Kallen saw Suzaku naked? Yeah, I guess so. Tit for tat, right? It was fair deal. Unless Suzaku brought his swim trunks with him, which I highly doubt. He was probably skinny dipping. Yeah, I guess she saw him naked. Maybe he was wearing underwear. He must have underwear on. Or maybe not. Again, considering they saw each other naked, I guess it's fair. But that's a good point. I never thought about that. My whole life has been changed because of it. Also, Suzaku asked Kallen to join him in the water. If you think about it, he was basically asking her to skinny dip with him. It feels like ship tease, even though there's no romance between them. Yeah, I didn't think of that either. That's a good point. There is some ship tease between them. That's for sure. Tamakis, you couldn't even defeat a rookie, and yeah, he couldn't. It was really bad. I know it's fun to ask, but I'm surprised none of the BKMers questioned Sicha's existence or her social with Zero. Well, she said he was his mistress. I guess that was good enough for these people. But yeah, it's like she's just kind of there, like, okay, whatever. A green-haired girl with golden eyes who looks like some nationality we've never seen before. I have no idea. It's a good point. Suzaku low-key hitting on Kallen. Well, he didn't say he found her charming later on. Yeah, but I think that maybe it was friends. I mean, he was in love with Euphemia at that point. But it's a good point. If you want to discuss Kallen and Suzaku being a couple, there's arguments for it. Maybe Resurrection, they're a thing. That post-timeline since Lucius was C2 now. I don't know if that disgusts me or makes me happy. Hard to say. I like how Kallen and Suzaku don't make a big deal about Kallen being naked. There's no cringe jokes about it, which is pretty refreshing in the anime. Yeah, that's the thing I guess I mentioned in my article on Suzaku. When he sees Kallen naked, he doesn't really make any mention of it. He just kind of pins her down. He doesn't even pay attention to it either, which it makes him a little better than Lelouch in that respect. Lelouch kind of embarrassed Kallen on his way out, and Suzaku's like, I don't even care you're naked, I'm just arresting you. He was more respectful, which I agree. There's so much naked jokes in this story. Or fan service jokes. So yeah, it was a nice change of pace. I definitely agree. It's a shame this was the only time Suzaku and Kallen had a conversation about their motives and ideals. It really added more depth to their rivalry, which they had more scenes like that. They do, but only like when they're fighting, which is not really the same as like having a dialogue like that. Heck, an OVA of Lelouch spending time with all assuming has kids, even learning more Lelouch and Maribel relationship. Yeah, I mean, like it would have been cool to see them all as children hanging out because there's in Lelouch the Rebellion RE, you see him playing chess against Schenizels, and you're thinking, man, that was kind of interesting. Why not have an entire OVA series discussing all the kids? We never really see that, and that would have been good if they had decided to to do that, because we don't know much about them as kids. If we did, it might have explained why Lelouch is really interested in going back to the way things were. I mean, we know a little bit, but it would be nice to go full on it. Heck, you could have had C2 appear in this OVA, and she could have been maybe holding Lelouch as a baby, or could have been involved, when he was growing up, because we know C2 knew Lelouch, I think, when he was a kid, because of that one part where she's literally watching him in Japan. So she definitely could have been involved in that OVA. That would be kind of interesting. You see Mariana and Charles are together. You see the fact that C2's with them in that one flashback, so she must have been present when Lelouch was born. That's kind of weird considering they fall in love later on. But the circumstances were different, so I'm not going to call that grooming. But that was kind of weird, now that I think about it. But of course, R2 doesn't add anything to the relationship. The only time they talked about it, it's about Lelouch Suzaku. They tried to drug her, and Kallen beat him up. There's also a part on the end of like 20 in turn RE when they're fighting at the end. They go back and forth also again how to make change. But again, it's not throwaway conversation, but in battle it wasn't as epic or interesting, I should say, as when they were just casually talking by a fireplace. This is just speculation. Do you think the Geass could come from the gods or someone like the caretaker for Aki the Exile? I think it came from the gods or some aliens. I think the caretaker is one of those people who works for them. It's kind of complicated because I think the caretaker was like is everything but is nothing. They don't really explain it too well. She's like a godlike creature, I believe, because she can manipulate time, or I think she can. It's never truly explained. Maybe not a code user. I don't know about that. Maybe Britannia soldiers can't shoot Zero or Calm because they were trained by stormtroopers. That's exactly what happened. Britannia really needs to install switch gear, kill switch in their nightmares. Those things get stolen more than jewelry. Pretty much, yeah. It's funny, Lloyd said he wasn't as smart and paranormal. He wasn't. He actually wanted to get Cecile down there because she thinks she's more equipped for archaeological stuff. The Gwain flying in T pose always gets me. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Who would win, the Gwain or the RX-78-2 Gundam? I just missed that. Darn it. There's okay. Both Pie Experience user. The original Gundam, was it that strong? If it was the original Gundam with the drive in 00, it might have a chance. But otherwise, I don't think it could defeat the Gwain. It wasn't that strong if we're talking about the original Gundam. But then again, it's hard to say. I haven't watched the original in a while, but I know in 00 they brought it back and it had like the that special drive, I forgot what they're called. And it was pretty powerful there. So maybe it could in that context. Here's a weird thing. The Gwain was able to shoot down, but next episode wasn't doing well. Yeah, I guess it wasn't completed. What's even more weird is next episode, it's fixed. Within a span of like 3 hours, Rakshata fixed it. So maybe there was a bug in the system and she worked it out. That's a good point, though. So long to Lucius Burai. We'll see it again in R2, turn 1, but other than that, we don't see it ever again. Lucius Suzaku and the Lancelot copied together. Don't give the shippers any ideas. They were in it, though, right? I mean, it's kind of weird. Lucius Burai is the Kenny of Code Geass. Yeah, he gets killed all the time. Wait, how can Lancelot fit two since one's the limit? I don't know. It's really weird, but if you look at the image I'm looking at right now, he closed it when they were in there together. I have no idea how any of that worked. Very closely. Winky face. Oh my god. Okay. How many times was that thing destroyed? Jeez, so many. Do you think that Suzaku and Kallen had a couple Resurrection Universe? Could be possible or not. I saw this one fan art. I don't know if I can find it in like 5 seconds, but it showed Kallen and Suzaku wearing their tight uniforms from that film, and it looked like something was brewing. If Z recapture, which it won't, but let's say it had Kallen and Suzaku and they became a couple, I don't know how I'd feel about it. It'd be really strange. But in that universe, Lelouch is with what's it called? C2, so it is what it is. Let's see. Schenizels is the most well-mannered villain in the show, which is ironic since he's one of the most misguided members of the royal family. Yeah, Schneider is he's a guy who could smile at you and also kill you. Like he can make you believe his bull crap even when it's awful. That's why Schneider is such a good villain, because he's so good at he can like make you believe your ideas are great, but deep down doesn't actually care about any of that stuff because you're helping him accomplish his goals. But if he makes you think you're accomplishing your goals, then he knows he'll keep you happy. But deep down, he doesn't really give a crap. He only cares about advancing his agenda. He's very cold and calculated, but he's also not. It's weird. He's a complex character. I might do a video discussing him in the future, just going through all of his personality and traits and quirks. He's very interesting. It makes me wonder, were people like Schenizels, Cornelia, and Clovis good people in the past? Did Charles corrupt them and put words in their heads? It's possible an easy way to influence a kid. Cornelia, definitely. Because in that episode, I discussed it in turn 6, I want to say. Basically, I think it was 5. think it was 5, where you had the whole speech of, where was the one where, okay, it was 6. It was 6. Okay. So in episode 6, you see everyone's response to the speech that Charles gives, like, all men are not created equal, all that stuff, right? Inequality isn't a bad thing. Equality is, that wonderful um, rhetoric. So during that time, Cornelia is in awe of the whole thing. Her eyes are glittering, and she loves everything her father is saying. So we know that she was definitely influenced by her father. In terms of Schneisel, I think so, but because he had some of his father's ideals, but he realized his father didn't care about the people. And the Clovis and Cornelia definitely were influenced in that way. Schneisel, it's hard to say. That's definitely true. And you know what? The OVA could show that too. It could show Charles talking to Cornelia and Clovis and explain to them how the world works, and they grow up that way to be not ruthless tyrants, but close enough. Because Cornelia was okay with prosecuting against the 11. She was, or the numbers rather. She was totally fine with this, which means she believed in her father's message about equality is bad, inequality is good. So definitely, for sure. There's no way Schenizels always had the idea ever since he was a kid, especially when he was never influenced by Geass until the end. I mean, yeah, he was, I guess, a decent kid when they were growing up. Clovis was mostly like a pervert ever since he was a child, but I don't believe he was always evil until Charles possibly put things in his brain. We don't know how they were raised in school. We don't know what kind of school these kids went to. Must have been some kind of private, and they could have been brainwashed. The whole country's brainwashed. So it wouldn't surprise me. That's more of the same thing. Cornelia is more loyal than she is evil. Hard to say. I think if Clovis sticks with the art, he will turn out just fine. Facts. Schneizel is like Ozymandias from Watchmen. I love that comic, by the way, and the movie was okay too, actually. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He has like the greater picture in mind. I mean, if you know what, since you bring this up, okay, and I'm not saying because I just read the comment, but you see, I want to do a video comparing what Schneizel wanted to do to Ozymandias and Light Yagami. I want to do like some discussion about like this idea of like killing lots of people, for the greater good. Because you're right, these two characters had very similar plans. They wanted to save the world by kind of threatening it with violence. Although with Ozymandias, his plan and Lucius were actually quite similar. Schneizel, hold on. Let me think about this. Schneizel didn't really want to have the world in peace. He did, but through force. And Ozymandias, he wanted, I'm sure I pronounced that completely wrong, but we'll say Ozzy for short. Ozzy wanted to unite the world under one evil entity and cause world peace as a result. In the film, it was Dr. Manhattan, and the comic, it was some kind of creature he created himself. I don't think that's the right comparison. I was agreeing with you, and I realized I think it's more like Lelouch. Lelouch and Ozzy had a similar connection there. Maybe Schneizel did originally, but I don't think he wanted to like create some kind of like greater evil to unite everybody. I gotta think about that further. I might be wrong there. I kind of see that Cornelia just believed in Britannia's structure and wanted to do what she could to Britannia, which is why she really wanted to outsmart Lelouch. Yeah, but she also didn't mind being prejudiced towards the numbers. She was pretty aggressive towards them. Even Dalton's like, yeah, I mean, I don't care, but she does. I see some people call Schneider a true villain of Code Geass, even more so than Charles. I don't think I would agree, but Schneider doesn't come along to being the big villain in the end of R2. I think Charles was the main person, and then Schneider kind of takes over because they didn't want, what was it? In Code Geass, there were like 3 worlds you could have. You could have Lelouch's vision for a future, Schneider's for a consistent present, and Charles for the past. So basically, all 3 of them were fighting for that end. It just so happened that Schneider was the one who ended up being the final boss to Lelouch, if you will. So Schneider didn't have a conscience. I'm guessing he's a sociopath. He was born a sociopath. Um, I guess you could say that. Although Cornelia claims that in times of peace he'd be a good leader, so it's hard to say what Schneisel is. Again, he's a complex person. I think Schneisel cares about people in his own messed up way, like Lelouch was. Like Lelouch, he was willing to die for his mission, but unlike Lelouch, Schneisel was willing to sacrifice everyone else for his goals. Yep, that's true. We learned Schneisel hated Charles. He did. He absolutely did. Apparently, copying pasting link doesn't work. Man, I suck. uh, oh, you mean for like chat? I guess you can't. If you want to post a link, you can take the URL out of it and just try giving like the actual like the main part of it. Yeah, YouTube's weird with that stuff. They think you're trying to sell me some scam, or the people watching a scam, which is I know you're not trying to do that, but YouTube, one guy has to ruin it for everyone else. Anyhow, it's a fact that Shiloh was able to create a character that isn't himself and fool everyone so they could believe him, because if he acted how he really was, people would say he was evil. Yeah, exactly. What if Zero reveals the identity to BK in stage 19, tell them about his goals, and not only how would they react? It's hard to say. Part of me thinks they would be okay with it. Part of me thinks they would probably not be okay with it, because can you really be under someone who has the ability to control anyone at will? I feel like everyone would be wearing masks every day to cover their eyes, so he couldn't use Geass on them. I think if maybe the upper people knew, it might be okay. I assume that's what you mean by revealed to the Black Knights. It might be okay, but at the same time, though, Lelouch just killed Katase, and I don't think Toto would be okay with that. If Toto found he killed Katase for his own means, Toto might try to kill Lelouch, so I don't know if that would have gone well. Oghi might have taken it okay, but not Toto. Definitely not Toto. But it's a good question. Schneisel only showed his true side of Lelouch, so the fact that he manipulates people and hides his true personality makes him sound like a sociopath. I guess. What if you told him that BK told him about his goals in LA? I don't think it would difference either way which episode you pick. Psychopaths are born psychopaths, even become loving households. Psychopaths hide true personality. Yes, sociopaths become sociopaths. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, I guess because he was willing to it's complicated. He does think of science as a sociopath. That's true. Just kind of paste URL. YouTube pissed me off the other day. Speaking of Watchmen, what's your favorite character from the series? Oh, Rorschach. Absolutely Rorschach. I love that guy. He's I don't agree with everything he says, but I love all of his scenes. Like my favorite line, he says, I'm what's it called? I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. I mean, it's just so epic. I love that guy. He's one of the best characters in the story. Everything he says is great. Had a bit of a water break there, but yeah, he could totally be a psychopath. Again, it's hard to say with Schneisel because in his last point that we'll go to episode 20, but he manipulates others. He doesn't mind killing people to advance his own goals, including himself. Why he's doing these things? He thinks he's generally helping people out when he's not. It's a complicated dilemma with Schneisel. So I totally see, where you're coming from with that. And again, I would love to talk about Schneisel in a long video because he's a very good character. I mean, I say good, not like evil, like morale-wise, just like well written. I love how Wednesday Adams said Rorschach, "You're locked here at me," line 2019. Adams family were filmed. Oh, that's funny. Okay. That took a while to go through 19. I'm kind of surprised there. All right, we're going to the next one. This is episode 20, The Battle of Koshio. This one is this is actually a good episode. Like it has well, just like last episode, this one's the next stage in the relationship between Euphy and Suzaku. This one actually has like the the whole scene of them like proposing, basically, which is pretty good. So let me put my notes down. Excuse me. Okay, that was gross. All right, Lelouch piloting the horse. I mean, riding the horse. You don't pilot the horse. I'm not that tired. There's an awesome scene here of the Avalon flying in the sky. I don't know what it is. I just always love this this scene in the story. It's just funny. I mean, not funny. It's really cool. Like you just they're trying to emphasize how amazing the flow system is in the Avalon. Because if you think about this point, nothing has really flown. They don't have airships in Code Geass. This is like the first major one, and I believe the Gawain is the first flight-enabled nightmare frame. So the technology has evolved quite a bit over the last couple episodes. So it's cool that they're trying to emphasize, hey, look, this thing can fly really high in the sky. So I kind of like that part. Now, they're reading the news about Sawazaki invading Japan. Now, here's what kind of surprises me, but then again, I guess they don't care about Suzaku's life. They're going to send him out there again, right? But he had another freak out moment. So I'm thinking, okay, let's see. Suzaku has freaked out twice now in the story. The first time was in stage 11 when Euphemia touched the nightmare frame and caused him to see, his father, which I guess would freak anyone else out. And of course, here when Lelouch used Geass on him to, you have to live. In both cases, he's proven he's not always reliable. So I'm kind of confused why they're sending him out here again, given all that. Especially when Cecile has stated like mentally he has issues that she cares about him. So I'm kind of confused why they were doing this. My assumption is Schenizels wants him to go out there and doesn't care, but this still kind of confused me a little bit as to why they, why they're sending him out there. Speaking of Suzaku, he and Euphy have a conversation about like why he doesn't want to be here at night anymore. He mentions how he killed his father and he never was punished for it. And he feels guilty about it. Everyone's protecting him. He hates being protected. If he makes a mistake, he should own up to it, which I respect, by the way. This whole conversation, this whole discussion between him and Euphemia was great. And again, the reason why these are a good couple, at least in my point of view, is that she's able to. He can talk to her about this stuff, and she takes it well, and she can understand him and be a supportive rock to him. He can't talk to this with Cecile or Lloyd or really anyone else for that matter. But Euphy's the only person he can really be himself with and express his issues with life. That's why these two are a good couple in my view. There, obviously, it's my opinion, and of course, she hates herself too. Which is confusing. They both hate each other themselves, which is why they also kind of work well together. Now, they go to the battle that's happening, and because of the weather, they can't send their air troops. So Kinnear's like, well, we're screwed. And they're like, yes, Sawazaki and this random guy. The gods are on our side, of course. Now, during this scene, it's really cool because you have Schenizels talking to this diplomat, and then you have Dalton. And they mentioned, by the way, the Totemal Agency. This was the first time they mentioned the story. So again, they're at least doing some foreshadowing with characters, ideas, concepts, which is why the show is actually pretty good because they do foreshadow things that will come later on in the story. Now, Dalton's face here is horribly drawn. It looks like someone smashed him with a vice. But beyond that, I just think it's funny. I'm not finding interesting they brought the Totemal Agency. And then you see Euphemia comes in here. And this was discussing earlier in the stream. She says, like, listen, you guys are fighting this Chinese Federation invasion. That's like, no, it's Japanese using the Chinese Federation as like okay, one more time. The Chinese Federation is using them as scapegoats, or not scapegoats, like they're under them, supporting them. So it's like a proxy war, if you will. But anyways, while she is coming to Schenizels here, he's like, look, Euphy, the only way you help us out is by just being a support for us. That's how you're supporting it. That's all we care about. Again, because Euphemia, no one really takes her seriously in this story. And that's, again, I was saying earlier, that's the problem with her character because she wants to help out, but no one cares. Euphy, I'm glad you want to help, dear, but, go back to your room. No one really cares about you. It even tells Dalton, like, what we talked about earlier in secret, I don't want to hear Euphy to know about this stuff because, none of her business, but we'll get it arranged. And Dalton's like, yes, I understand, sir. But Schneizel, again, even like in his kind Schneizel way, tries to convince her, like, look, Euphy, I'm glad you support us, but like, we really don't care. Then the show continues on where, we had the school. There's like a meeting between all the members of the student council, and they can't get the work done because Lelouch is in there, and Rivel calls him an idiot, which is kind of funny. And of course, Kallen's in the hospital because they had to come up with some reason why she wasn't at school anymore. Because since Suzaku knows her identity as the pilot of the Nightmare Frames, she can't show her face anymore. So they had to come up with some alibi. She's in the hospital. And so Ridley's like, you should do some work, Ridley. He's like, easy for you to say. This is work for 3 different people. And then, here's the part 2. Nina wanted to get some award from Lloyd. And if she gets his award, she can meet, I believe, Euphemia. So she's trying to find whatever it takes to talk to Euphemia once in her life before she dies, because Euphemia is all she cares about. Meanwhile, that letter that she wrote Shirley before she lost her memories is confusing her because she has no memory of Lelouch being 0, so why would she have written that? She's really confused. Unfortunately, the plot doesn't really care because it's just like, yeah, okay, and then move on. It's kind of unfortunate. But this is a very important part of the story, but Shirley is kind of moved to a side character role. But I wish this got more attention because this is actually important, how the Geass power may not be absolute. Anywho, moving on. So Suzaku is about to pilot the Nightmare Frame, and then Cecile asked him, why did you give up your knighthood? And he was saying, what did he say? I don't know the exact term, but he tried to justify his actions. I can't remember the exact thing. It was kind of rhetoric based about what did he say? I don't remember. I'm sure it wasn't that important. Something about Euphy or something. Oh, right. That's right. He said he didn't want Euphy to hate herself because if he was to go out there and make a fool of himself, she would feel bad and hate herself. So to protect her, feelings and her self-esteem, he said he would not want to embarrass her as her knight, even though Euphemia already hates herself. But it is what it is. Now, she's talking to Clovis. Obviously he's dead, but, he's pretending he was there saying, I saw 0, but I can't avenge your death, Clovis. Which is funny because why would you want to avenge his death? He was an evil guy, but I guess she still loved him deep down, even though he killed lots of 11s for the worst reason possible. And she's looking at the painting, and she says here also how no one takes her seriously. I believe in this part she says Schenizels and Cornelia just don't care what I have to say because again, Euphemia deals with hope. One of Euphemia's biggest traits is that no one takes her seriously in this story, and she wants to do great things, but if no one gives her a chance, it's never going to happen. So through Suzaku, she can make it happen. So there's that. And then when of course, she's crying because, again, she's really upset about the whole thing. Then we get to this part where they asked 0, what we're going to do about it. And 0's like, we shouldn't do anything because it's not really our fight, which makes sense. It isn't. But then they asked, okay, what's the grand scheme? And 0 said, we're going to make a new nation of Japan. And he's like, I knew it. And they said, how are we going to make a nation of Japan? Britannia's a huge empire. And Lelouch was like, what, you wait for someone else to do it? Don't be naive. We're the one who has to do it. If no one else does it, it has to be us. Which is true. And this is a good metaphor in life in general, right? When you, on a smaller scale, if you want something to happen, you have to go out and do it. It's not just going to happen out of the blue. You have to make the effort. You have to decide one day that this is the time. There's no such thing as a perfect time in life. The perfect time is the time you choose to do it. So I don't know if that's Lelouch was, I'm not sure he was trying to imply that form of logic, but that's how I was interpreting the statement. We're not going to wait for someone else to do it. You have to make the change. You have to be the one to do it. There's never the best time. It's just the time. The best time is the time you make. There are opportunities in life, and when you look back at your life, you'll realize that everything connected. But that's only because you decide to actually do something. It wasn't like things were arranged that way. You made it happen. I believe what he was trying to say here. I could be totally reaching, but that's what I was thinking during that scene. Anyhow, Euphemia's in her car, and Nina tries to get in there because, she wanted to talk to Euphy. The guys pin her down. I'm not going to lie here, okay? I know that they have to protect the princess at all costs, but was this really necessary? Nina is very thin and frail, And you have like 3 guards pinning her down the floor. I mean, it's pretty brutal. She wasn't even armed with a weapon, man. Yeah, these Britannians are they're pretty awful people. I don't even. I mean, I like Nina's character, but as a person, I'm not a fan. But you almost feel bad because they're literally like, holding her down in a really painful way. Now, granted, she was trespassing. It wasn't like she was expecting. I don't think she was expecting them to treat her this badly, though, because damn. Euphemia recognized her, and they started having a conversation in the mansion, which happens later on. Now, the skies finally clear up, and then the battle takes place. We see Cornelia and Guilford naturally always together. I feel like these two are basically inseparable. Now, granted, it is night, and he is her knight, but still inseparable. We get to this part, which I really enjoyed, where Cecile's talking to Suzaku about the plan to stop Sawasaki, and she was saying how the energy filler is going to go up faster because you're using the float attachment. And it wasn't just like a thing she threw out there for, I guess, dialogue purposes, but that's important because that's what happens to him later on. His filler runs out much faster because he's using the float system. So they brought up something during the briefing, and it actually came true, or it came later on during the episode. I like that stuff where you bring up like a possible weakness and you'll see it later on. They also did a good job showing the Avalon's weakness because the rockets they're firing upward at the Avalon, which is also kind of cool. They're trying to like emphasize what it can do because it has the same shield as the Lancelot apparently, which again is awesome. You've seen the evolution of technology subtly but interestingly. So he fires off the first time he's flying. So now we have 2 flying units, the Gwen and the Lancelot, which is cool. He starts attacking the different helicopters in a very viciously. He wipes them all out. They are helicopters, but still, that was a lot. I think it was like 20, 30 people in those choppers. Eventually, Sawasaki tries to contact Suzaku, and they go back and forth about how he knows he killed Genbu and all this stuff. And Suzaku has no interest in working with these guys because they're cowards, and it would ruin his father's name, and things like that. So during this scene here, we have two people who just can't stand each other, and I mean like themselves, because Nina hates herself, Euphy hates herself, and this conversation is very interesting because Nina's like, you're a goddess, you're perfect, I looked up to you, saved me. And Euphemia's like, no, I'm actually a pretty awful human being. I like, no one takes me seriously. Cornelia and Schneider, they're much better people because they've, I guess, psychologically bullied her whole life, which, man, that would be a good OVA too. Imagine we see, once Lelouch's out of the picture, we see Euphemia, Cornelia, and Schneider growing up, and we get to see how abusive they were to her, because the way Euphy talks about stuff, I think there was not physical but mental abuse when she was growing up among her siblings, because she talks like she is a victim in this, right? But she's blaming herself. She's saying how they're better than me. I look up to these people, but they're the ones who treat you like crap and don't really care about you. Now, granted, Cornelia is very upset when Euphemia died, right? And obviously when she was captured, she wanted to protect her. But at the same time, though, it's one thing to care about someone closely, but you also can't just like, if they have feelings or desires, you can't just throw them away because you don't because you don't take them seriously. So again, physically, I think Cornelia loved and cared for Euphy, but some of her actions, were kind of awful. Because I get the impression the way Euphy talks, I think she had some mental abuse in her past. That would have been a pretty good OVA if they ever discussed it. But anyways, so Euphy's talking to Nina about she doesn't think he's a good person. And Nina's like, are you serious? You're a wonderful person. I absolutely, I adore you. You're like a goddess. And Euphemia's like, no, I'm not. But then Nina says something important. She says, you shouldn't hate yourself. And Euphemia's like, wait a minute. Don't hate myself. That was Suzaku's problem. Suzaku hates himself. So she says, you know what? I understand something. Thank you, Nina. So if you guys like Suzaku and Euphy as a couple, you can thank Nina because she's the one who brought them together. Ironically, since Nina's the one who hates Japanese people and kind of racist, but so yeah, that's kind of awkward. By the way, fun fact: this scene here, I didn't count in my death count. I must have missed it. I was really pissed off watching episode. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't count this part. So There you go, a little Easter egg. I missed like 1, 2, 3, 7 kills here? Oh well, it's what it is. Anyhow, Suzaku's arguing with Sawasaki, and he distracts him, which causes his nightmare friend to get damaged. Meanwhile, Schneider's talking to Dalton. And then, of course, Euphy walks in. She says she wants to contact Suzaku. And what's interesting here is that I guess they're talking about the Totem Agency. I'm not entirely sure. We see here again because of the use of the flight enabled, not the flight, the attachment to flow system. He's running out of energy. Again, they brought it up to start this conflict, and it's becoming relevant, which, again, I like that part. And, of course, they're concerned about what's happening. So, let's see. That's a seal and Lloyd, I believe. And then, yeah, Lloyd's freaking out because, it's damaged. So, Suzaku's contacted by Sawasaki saying, for your father's sake and do all this stuff. And again, Saku's like, I decline if I, use my father in this. I'll never forgive myself. And then he gets a call from Euphemia, who says, I command you to love me. And then I love Cecile's like, what is it? And Cecile's like, it's a private conversation. And we get one of the emotional revealed in the story where Euphemia is like, yes, I want to love you, Suzaku, and you got to love me. We'll be together. And more importantly, what she says, don't hate yourself. And that's a big one because Suzaku, again, has dealt with this entire time that he feels he should have died. He's been punished because of what happened to Genbu and how he never was punished for it, and how Japan was forced to surrender, and all this. He's been doing this whole burn the entire time. Even Lelouch mentioned this in Turn 17 when he said, I killed my half brother, which was pretty bad, but he killed his father and forced Japan to surrender. That was really be weighing heavily on him. So both Lelouch and Euphemia realized that Suzaku has been dealing with a lot of problems and self-loathing for a long time now. So the fact that she's telling Suzaku that, we'll be together, I'll help you out, don't hate yourself, you're not a bad person, things just happen in life. I think this was a really powerful scene between the two characters. And Suzaku explains, how Euphy's very, she what's the word? She's so subtle of everything she does. And before that, Euphy mentioned the reason why she likes Suzaku. And again, maybe this is a forced romance. I don't know. I thought it was fine. Of course, it gets almost ugly because Suzaku is running away from the gun reuse, and he tells Euphy, if my energy filler's out and if I die, just lie and say I transferred schools. He didn't want anyone to know what really happened to him, and Euphy almost freaked out. But thank God, Zero saved him, which is what we see here. And we got this awesome scene where we see C2 arrive in the nightmare frame with Lelouch. And for a little factoid, in the previous episode, Tamaki said to get nightmare frame training, and I guess she got her nightmare frame training. I just love this part where it hit the T-pose, it blasts, it saves Suzaku, and we just see C2 and Lelouch together tonight. It's one of the epic scenes in the story. It's so cool. And of course, they're like, "What? What happened?" And then ultimately, we see how Rakshata is the one who mastered the Hadra Cannon, and Lloyd's like, "No, I wanted to do it," and Rakshata wins this time. They also kind of worked together on it. It was a collaboration effort, which is kind of cool. So then Zero and Suzaku worked together. Well, Lelouch and Suzaku worked together on this one. They didn't know that, obviously, at the time. Well, one knew, not the other. It's a cool scene. Some people say it's kind of fan servicey. I guess. I had no issues with it. Of them working together to take out Sawasaki. And again, C2 and Lelouch being together in Nightmare Frame. I love all these parts. That's why the Gwain, as much as I like the Shinkiro, but when the Gwain was gone, I mean, we missed these awesome moments of the two of them riding in Nightmare Frame together. They kind of got rid of it when they brought the Shinkiro in there. I wish the Shinkiro had two passenger spots because I think C2 and Lelouch being together it's one of the best parts in the story. That's why Resurrection was fun. It was a fun film because they both got the chance to be passengers again in a Nightmare Frame. I assume they did that on purpose for that little nostalgia bait. Anyhow, Sawasaki is obviously in trouble because they defeat all of his troops. And Cornelia's like, wait, Zero and Suzaku are working together? Yeah, I'm surprised too. Kallen's upset because she can't help. I like how Diethard explains how unofficially the Black Knights helped. So it showed that they defend against like people attacking the nation, even their own, because who are obviously cowards. Sawasaki is contemplating, there's nothing wrong with him leaving to come back stronger, which I guess there's strategy to that. Like, what's it called? Live to fight another day. Because Suzaku was saying, if you really love Japan, why did you run away? And he's like, well, I had to run away because I didn't want to die. And I don't know. In any event, Suzaku stops them in their tracks. And then we see they're all being arrested. And as far as I know, and again, it wasn't stated in the episode, but I read on the Wikipedia page, and again, it could have been wrong. They were executed like right afterwards. I don't know if that's in here or not, but I thought they were executed. So he died anyway, Sawasaki. And while I don't necessarily like Britannia, I can't disagree with the decision here to kill him because, he threatened lots of people. Then we see Schenizels bowing to Charles, which is an interesting scene. The first time I've ever seen the two of them working together. I also think it's the last time, but yeah, they're kind of discussing amongst themselves about what happened with Sawasaki. We get the scene where Euphy and Suzaku are, again, they're officially a couple. And it's just sad because maybe things were rushed. Maybe some parts didn't work. But what could have been, it's just, yeah. I almost don't even want to go on to 22 and 23 knowing what happens. But that's kind of the point, I guess. And eventually, Suzaku becomes her knight again. And all she really wants is just people to not hate each other and I guess live together, which I guess is a very, maybe it's a naivete, I guess, but that's what she wants. And through Suzaku, they want to make it happen. And that's kind of episode ends. It's a very emotional roller coaster. They kind of use the whole invasion as like a means to just get these two to officially declare their love for each other, which is fine. I have no issues with that whatsoever. There's a good, the reason why the episode, to me, I gave it like I'll give it 8 out of 10. I don't know why I said 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10 because you get the epic scene of Lelouch and C2 together. You get the and him working with Suzaku. This part of Euphemia and Suzaku, they're the pinnacle of the relationship, the official declaration of love. All this stuff I thought was great. I love when these things reach that high point. So this was a great episode. At least I enjoyed it. Okay, we'll do. I'll read some comments and then we'll go on to episode 21. Actually, I gotta change my camera. Not my camera, my battery, and then we'll go to episode 21. Hopefully, my camera won't do like a double. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't do that again. I know what you mean. He's probably my favorite. I'll do like this. My favorite antagonist in the show. It's because of who he is. I know he's evil, but it doesn't mean I can't like his character. Of course. And that's why CBR's article was so stupid, because they're like, because Lelouch did awful things, therefore he's not likable. No, you can like villains in a story because it's a fictional story. CBR, really? Piloting the horse. I'm going to upgrade my horse so I can run faster and take less energy. Yes, we're all going to pilot the horse. That's become a meme. Ride the wind, bullseye. Oh, yeah. Toy Story 2. That was a good movie. It's still a good movie. I saw a trailer for Lightyear. It looked kind of cool. I guess it's an alternate universe since they're toys. Schenizels said that Gawain was a prototype. Dude, this nightmare led to the evolution of flying nightmares. It's still a prototype, though. But you're right. My apology for the question if you revealed his identity, because I was trying to delete this and fix the question, but I don't know, the first word would pop out. It's okay. I figured that was the case. Shazza prefers giant bombers over flying robots. Yeah, you know what? He does. Think about the Avalon and also the Damocles. Shazza is kind of a complex character. Yeah, he is. There's a lot going on there. That's why, again, it's hard to say exactly what he is. I'm confused. What is the difference, or what would it make if Lelouch killed Schenizels compared to just telling him to serve Zero? Schenizels deserved to die. He was snake-like. He had to make Schenizels live because Schenizels is a good leader, and he needs him to serve the next era under Zero. Because as long as Schenizels is under Zero, he won't try to do his own agenda to change things. Because Zero wanted to. He's the one who defeated Emperor Lelouch. and the world is ushered into a new age of peace. So the idea is that if Schneisel works under Zero, he will uphold the ideals of Lelouch when he was Zero. If that was confusing, I apologize. The point is, killing Schneisel would be a waste, considering he is a very brilliant leader. And as Cornelia said, in times of peace, he'd be a good leader. I guess. I don't. She never really explained that, but I guess they both share that same sentiment. His way of looking down on humans and the environment of people, desire, and wishes really reminded me of Shin from Aki Totally Exiled. Well, Shin was a nihilist and just think people need to die and living was a curse. I don't think Schneider wasn't a nihilist, but that's an interesting way of looking at it, though. In Resurrection, Schneider pretty much runs the show since he served Zero. He'll do a good thing instead of blowing stuff up. Exactly. I said that, but Larry King, you know, excellent point. He's still going to hell when he dies. Facts. The painting clothes look great. It was a good painting. I agree. Shin and Schneisel had many similarities saying on people's desires, people themselves, and how the world works. Except the way they wanted to respond to it was different. But that's true. Clovis never looked great. He's nasty. Damn. Okay. I actually think Clovis looked cute even though he didn't act cute. You'd be alone there, I'm afraid. I saw a comment on YouTube in one of the Code Geass videos when someone said the Black Knights should change their name to Oghi and the Cockroaches. Wow, that's fighting words right there. People hate the whole betrayal. Funny and silly question. Imagine if Code Geass would do a spin-off like Nullly and Wonderland, except this time with Star Wars. Cast be like in next comment. It could work. I mean, I always consider Mobile Suit Gundam 00 Code Geass, but in space, but it could still work. Sawazaki lasted one episode before being defeated. Even Clovis lasted longer. Yeah, it's very true. But so the other Japanese guy died quickly too in one episode. What the hell was his name? I keep forgetting because he was so annoying. I guess we're bringing him back up again. What was that dude's name? Kusabagi. F that guy. Okay. Tamaki, please step up. If you oppose Zero, just say so. Say die, dude, and your life will be over. Oh, man. Jeez. To be fair, Sasuke had to fight the Ultimate Duo. Yeah, that's true. They wiped out his whole army. It was kind of depressing. I remember when Lelouch got Cornelia and he had a chance to kill her, but he did. I'm kind of glad he didn't kill her because she didn't really deserve to die. Well, that depends who you talk to, because Cornelia probably did a lot of awful things promoting the whole Britannian military agenda. So I don't think she killed innocent people, but she was merciless to her enemies. She might be considered a war criminal if you consider Britannia to be, an evil threat to the world, which they kind of are. So at least Cornelia changed and became a better person towards the end. So you got that going. And she gave her whole thing to the throne in R2 to help Euphemia. Okay. Lelouch is Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader is Nunnally. Oh, wait. Luke is Anakin. Oh, I'm an idiot. I know Star Wars lore, I promise. Nunnally as Luke Skywalker. Euphemia as Leia. Suzaku as Han Solo. C2 as Yoda. That's perfect. Kallen as Chewbacca. That's insulting, but I like it. Charles as Palpatine. Oghi as R2-D2. Tamaki 3CPO. Who would Schneizel be? Wait, who's Han Solo? Suzaku. I guess that works. Euphemia, Leia, and what do you say? Who's Luke Skywalker? Nunnally. So do they kiss in the story? I'm just kidding. I'm actually not. But okay. Who would Shirley be? I like the idea though. I think they could definitely pull it off. I actually do like that idea. I think Euphy just lived a sheltered life and didn't have the chance or motivation to make something of her life. Similar to how Nunnally was protected, didn't have anything to do with her life when she and Lelouch lived in Ashford. But I think Lelouch allowed himself to be more affectionate to his younger sister. I think Cornelia tried to keep appearances to be ideal. Britannia being strong and not showing weakness, which is why I like when Cornelia is injured and even in her vulnerable position turns Zaku to capture Zero after holding on to her prejudice. Okay. I mean, that could be, but it's just that when Euphemia hates herself but praises her siblings, that tells you something did not go well when they were being raised. That's a very strange mindset to have. It's not normal, rather. I don't think Suzaku had to worry about people being sad if he died. If anything, they'd probably be happy. Just, oh, wow, damn, a savage. Savage. Sawasaki was executed. General Kao was sent back to the Chinese Federation. That's right. I know Kao was sent back. They said that. I forgot if Sawasaki was executed. I didn't feel bad. His forehead will be missed. It's even bigger than mine. That's impressive. Replace Oghi and Tamaki with Cecile and Lloyd, R2D2 and C3PO. Toto as Obi-Wan. Schneisel as Tarkin. Toto is not Obi-Wan because he's not a wise old guy. Toto. Oh wait, I thought you said Oghi. Don't ask. Toto is Obi-Wan. That's right. That makes sense. Schneisel as Tarkin. Jeremiah as Boba Fett. That'd be pretty cool. V2 as Dooku. I don't know about that one. Dalton as Mace Windu. Arthur as Ewoks. Okay, Arthur as Ewoks. There's nothing about it. I think it'd be funny. Be a really funny spin-off story. I don't remember. I don't. Please don't mind CBR. I apologize. I'm just saying they suck. I guess Lelouch was evil, but he also evil for a good reason. He practically is a saint compared to his entire family. Yeah, that's true. Everything is relative, I guess. Replace Oghi. Okay, I think you already did that one. Mao as Maul. Okay, Shirley as Padme. Rolo as Boba Fett. Dalton as Mace Windu. General Grievous. Oh, that makes more sense because there's a cyborg. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. But also that's the past and the future, so you gotta be careful how you do that cast. Yeah, it's pretty funny. If they did a whole Code Geass Star Wars thing, that actually would be pretty funny. If they pulled it off. I mean, obviously, Wonderland's a little easier to do. Okay, I need to change my battery, and then we will continue with 21 and then RE code. So let me get that up real quick. And I will BRB. Do not go anywhere. I, Lelouch v Britannia, command you to not go anywhere. I will be right back. Oh no, that's not good. 1 second. Much better. Wait, can you still see my screen? Oh, you see it the whole time. Oh, that's bad. That's not good. No, my screen was visible. Oh well, it's okay. It doesn't matter. There you go. That's what happens in the background. Okay, I got some more comments while I was doing the thing. Okay. Uh Lelouch and Darth Vader because Darth Vader dies. And also, yeah, exactly. Darth Vader and Lelouch are actually very similar characters. Video in the future? I'm writing this down as a note. Discuss the similarities between Lelouch and Anakin Skywalker. Whoopsies, I don't know what I just did. Shoot. I hate when I touch buttons. I don't know what I did. Oh, okay, I fixed it. Okay. Lelouch and Darth Vader. Okay. To quote the Russians from what the hell happened to my camera? What the fudge? Okay, it looks like my sound went off. I mean, not my sound. My camera decided to fudge me again. I think this battery I'm using is crap. I'm gonna have to get rid of it because that's not. All right, 1 second. I gotta get to do this whole song and dance again. Oh, it's still up. Hold on. This is better be the last time. I gotta change the camera position, but this better be it. All right, son of a gun. Okay, one more time. A video discussion between Lelouch and Anakin Skywalker, how they're actually very similar characters. Okay. Please, no more problems. Revive is a good song. Yes, it is. Has one of the funniest episodes. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I like 21. I didn't like it originally, but I kind of liked it the second time around watching it. Or, I guess, fourth time now. Can you imagine Toto say those two lines from Obi-Wan? Hello there. And I got the high ground. Well, it's funny. Toto and Suzaku they actually had a student-master relationship. So Suzaku was Darth Vader. That might make more sense in that context, but I think Anakin has more in common with Lelouch. But still, I didn't even know that the dude wearing the C2 and Lelouch shirt. That's pretty cool. I would get one so like that, but I feel bad I destroyed over time. Um, yeah, this shirt actually, if you're wondering, it was an exclusive on Amazon. It's gone now. But what I've noticed that this image, in case you're wondering, it's just a regular fan art someone made, and so I guess the company was just putting on T-shirts. If I wanted to, I could probably make my own T-shirts with the same logo or not logo, same fan art, I guess. I'm not sure what the legality of selling shirts with Code Geass or any other IP on them is. I've thought of making T-shirts, but I just don't know how that works. What are you allowed to put on shirts? What are you not? Cecile has a really confusing scene in this episode. She claims that Lloyd has no attraction to the opposite sex. Is she implying he likes men? As far as I know, there's no evidence. No, he has no attraction to anything. He's a sociopath. That's what she meant. That's an interesting point, though. Lloyd's not gay, as far as I know. I mean, he could be. They never really say it. I don't think so because he was going to marry Millie. I think it was more of he just wasn't. He has no real attachment to people. Period. He's a sociopath, which makes sense. Um, Viletta's really sweet and lovable in this episode. I wish she remained like that forever. Yeah, well, she kind of does, right? At the end of R2 and Resurrection. And Resurrection, she's a mixture of the two personalities of being like a powerful, strong warrior, but also a loving housewife. So I think this alternate version of Viletta, there's some parts of it that actually reflect her true self and what she really wants in life. What would your choice of Code Geass characters as Star Wars? I'd like to hear your take. I would like to do that. I just don't have time today to do that. I will put a note. Star Wars characters in Code Geass clothing. I mean the opposite, right? It's the opposite. Code Geass characters in Star Wars clothing. A subtle thing I forgot episodes that Diethard heard Millie when he was on the phone with Lelouch. Yeah, he's like, "What's going on?" That was kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Again, it's true. If you want to go by semantics, that's also a fair point. But I think it could have been a dubbing error too. I put the subs to something different. In fact, we'll look that up. Can you show the show real quick? I think I have, right? See, that's the pose. It shows C2 petting Lucia's head. As far as I know, again, you can't get that on Amazon anymore. They stopped selling. I looked my past purchases to send you guys links because someone asked you before. I don't think you can get it anymore. You can probably get something close. I used to think that Lloyd was gay because of that line Cecile had. Interesting. She was talking to Millie, a girl. If she meant he liked a man, then she might say something like he doesn't like your type or something like that. Well, again, that's actually a good point. Also, Nelly, you killed my brother, Lush. No, I am your brother. No, that's not true. Oh, that's actually pretty funny. Lush hugging and getting a pet. Yeah, this is like his. I've got another shirt I wear during the summer when it's not freezing outside, which shows like C2 and Lucian more of a like uh, epic pose, I guess you could say. Okay, let us now go into episode 21, which is the entire festival. But actually, was it just a festival? We'll find out. Okay, let me get my images set up. God, I can't believe it's taking us. Well, these episodes there's a lot to talk about in these episodes. That's what I like about. That's why I broke it up the way I did because I didn't want to. I want you guys breaks from like the intense ones because these episodes here a lot happens. So I was like, let's do the fun ones and then the intense ones and the fun ones, the intense ones, and back and forth we go. Oh, why did it do that? And once again, we are doing the me in front of the screen. Let's move that out of there. You don't need to see that. You know that StreamYard is helping me with this. The episode starts off with Lelouch and Suzaku. They're in trouble because they don't go to classes ever. Why? Well, they're too busy. Lelouch is leading a rebellion, and Suzaku is Euphemia's knight. Now she says, even though your grades are top of the class, meaning Lelouch, you're still in trouble. Now, remember Shirley in the first episode said like if he applied himself, he would succeed. Well, He's apparently a good student, so he must be doing something right. Then we get to this weird scene of like a bunch of 11s and Japanese people expressing, actually, that's the same thing, expressing how they feel about Suzaku. Some say he's a hero, and some say he's a puppet for the Britannians. The reason why this is important is because later on, they'll show up to the festival to see Suzaku because he is a symbol for these people. It also explains again like what's happening between the two. Now, well, when I say two, I mean like the two groups of how everyone's perceiving, Suzaku, because he is a symbol to the Japanese people. They can move up in the world. We get this scene where the Black Knights are having a discussion about a bunch of things, and I know that's very vague, but I mean that there's like a collaborator they're looking into, and there's a person they have to go after, but they don't have like Lelouch's what's it called? They don't have Lelouch involved in this because again he's in school, so they're kind of acting on their own with Diethard's advice again with some collaborator, which was Sayako. But I gotta be honest, I was watching this and I'm like, who the heck are they talking about? Meanwhile, Oghi comes home to this every night, which is nice, I guess. Um, yeah, they move on without Lelouch. Again, I wasn't sure who that they were talking about, but apparently someone wanted to join them, which I guess was Sayako. Meanwhile, we get this face, and the school festival starts with the meow, the epic meow. Nelly wakes up, and this is, I mean, not Nelly, I'm sorry. C2 wakes up, and we see there's 3 cheese coons. So this is kind of funny, but I think she has done the competition, she's ordered so much pizza that she actually filled up enough of those point sheets to get 3 cheese coons. Little fact there, she actually has 3. See, the bow, the hat, and the one she sleeps with. So now we go through the school stuff, and there's like these girls, they're selling Clovis pictures. That's kind of creepy considering he's dead, but I guess enough people find it popular. I made a list of all like the different things I saw. There was like the Clovis photos, the Zero report, I don't know, Arthur costumes. You have this, which if you guys don't know, in Suzaku of the Counterattack, this is actually how he fights in that manga. So the manga came after the anime, obviously. So he used this armor. That's what he wears in battle. It's kind of cool. And Zero, I think, wears like an opposing one. So I kind of like that part. Lelouch is talking to Diethard again about their plans. And now here's something interesting. When I was going through what they were saying, they were talking about like energy countermeasures and settlement panel. They were saying like energy storage sites and solar panels. I was wondering if they were also talking about the panel system in the Tokyo settlement, which might explain how Lelouch knew to disable the different panels to collapse it during the battle of, the Black Rebellion. I'm wondering if that's what they were talking about, because the Black Knights are doing a lot of planning in this episode, but as far as I know, I don't recall any of this ever coming into play in later episodes. But they were working on a bunch of stuff here. I don't know exactly what the long term implications of this were. Maybe it was like a skirmish that happens off screen, but as far as I know, they never really go through with whatever the hell they're planning, which is a shame because it looked like it was something interesting going on. But it is what it is. Meanwhile, while Lelouch is talking to Diethard, Millie interrupts him by saying we're in big trouble. So she drags him along. And he thinks there's nothing going. He thinks it's fine, which it is. The press wants to see the biggest pizza ever made, it is what it is. We see Rivel saying it's a big waste of money, which I thought was kind of funny. Meanwhile, Oghi and Viletta are walking by this festival, and Oghi apparently was a teacher once. It's not a bad a little thing about his past life, and he mentions how because his friend died, which was Kallen's brother, he took his place as leading the rebellion. Ironically enough, Viletta actually becomes a teacher in this school, after she gets her memories back to keep an eye on Shirley and Lelouch, but mostly Lelouch. They welcome everyone into the settlement, the festival, because it's open for everyone, which is nice. Then we get to the scene where Suzaku's talking to Kallen. He didn't tell on her, and she's surprised. because again, when they're on the battlefield, he wants to again convince her to join his side. So there are hints of them talking, but again, nothing like we had in that last episode, not episode 19. Meanwhile, Suzaku tells Kallen, "Whatever we talked about, keep it to ourselves." And Lelouch realized that the two of them are friendly, so he smiles because he knows who both of them are, and they don't know who he is. So there's a lot of not direct, there's a lot of tension here. Or I just love the scene how because they don't know he's Zero, but he knows who they are, so it's funny. Then he forces Kallen to dress up like this creature to scare people in the haunted house. She says something very interesting, which is the only person who can order me around is Zero. No one else can. I'm wondering if she meant in battle or just like in a romantic relationship. He's like, the only one who can order me around is Zero. And she said like in a very I don't know, kind of funny way. It's not a funny way, I don't know, like childlike. The only person who can tell me what to do is Zero. I didn't mention that, by the way, in my relationship video, but I guess even here she kind of showed interest in Zero at the time. Then Oghi appears and she scares Oghi, which is really funny. We see Cecile having a fun time hitting these whack-a-moles, which one looks like a Lloyd. She keeps hitting that one all the time. And also we see again the Suzaku, the Lancelot outfit. And then I believe the mallet falls off and hits Lelouch in the face. Oh, I love this part here. This is so funny. C2 says, "Boy, where do I get to the pizza?" And he looks at her and she says, "Oh, it's you." Oh man, it was such a savage. C2 is so savage in this episode. We haven't seen her talk to Lelouch in a while, but she was so savage to him. Now she was savage to Tamaki in 19, but she really makes fun of Lelouch. It's really funny. "Oh, it's you." Yes, it's me. Who else would you think it was? Then we get to an episode that I have referenced many times now, where Cornelia and Schneizel have a conversation about her bringing the glass to Knight, and he says, "It's so good to have you here. The Flash herself. You're like the greatest warrior ever. No one can match you in combat." And Cornelia's literally embarrassed. And I speculate in the past that this could be a relationship that Schneizel actually is hitting on his sister. It could be that's just how Schneizel talks to people in general. Some people say he spoke to Rakshata like this in the Resurrection film. So that whole video, by the way, that when I did a clip stream highlight of that, had a lot of opinions how different societies are different when it comes to how relationships like this works. So I, as an outsider Westerner, think this is kind of weird, but some countries would say they're not romantically involved. They're just being overly friendly or kind to each other. So it's hard to say what was going on here. I definitely have a different perspective now reading the comments on that video. I still think it's weird how he's literally complimenting her and having her reaction is still the strangest part because she still is very, it's just, again, she doesn't respond this way to anyone else. It's really weird. I mean, maybe they weren't a thing, but man, Schneidzel's really creepy. We see Jeremiah is alive after all this time. He was declared dead, by the way, in case you guys are wondering. Now, Lelouch sees C2 and he's like, you can't be here. By the way, her outfit's adorable. I love the pigtail look. And she's like, "I want the pizza, and I don't want cold pizza." And Lelouch is like, "Are you serious? Our whole operation can be compromised, and you want pizza." And look, pizza's important, but still, though. Then, of course, Kallen has to walk in with Oghi and Viletta. And Lelouch is like, "Oh, crap, they see me." And they're like, uh-oh. And then, meanwhile, Euphemia at the festival, before she gave Schneizel a plan for the SAS, the Special Administrative Zone of Japan, which she wants to tell someone, I think Suzaku about. Before that, she bangs into Nunnally. And, she's like, "Wait, you're alive?" And so that kind of happens. Meanwhile, again, Kallen sees that Lelouch sees them. Lelouch is freaking out as well. And then, of course, to make things worse, you see Suzaku and Shirley walking in. And she's like, "Oh, Lelouch," they're talking to each other. And then he says, because they're talking back and forth, because he has to figure a way to get her out of here, Make sure Kallen doesn't see her, because if Kallen sees C2 or Oghi sees C2 with Lelouch, they're going to know that he is Zero because she is his mistress, which is what that's the narrative they've chose. So they're in a pretty rough situation. And C2 said, use your Geass. And he said, I use it on everyone here. And she goes, well, maybe you should have been a little more carefree with it. He goes, that's not helping. So 2 times C2 has made fun of Lelouch in this episode. It's pretty funny, the back and forth. So Lelouch activates like the smoke thing, and Kallen knocks over the rails to also cause a distraction. We get this part where Kallen falls on Shirley to make sure she won't get trampled. It's a very Yuri scene, I guess, because she's like the way they're on top of each other. It's kind of, a little fan servicey. There is a manga Code Geass. It's for the girls and the guys. That's kind of what's happening here. Again, it's very subtle. I'm just kidding. It's not subtle at all. So they kind of put a fan servicey moment in a funny like scene, I guess. I still like the scene, but this end point's a little dubious. Anyhow, Oghi and Viletta are by the street because they ran away, and Viletta had a lot of fun, and she asked Oghi, before anything happened, you were about to say who I was to you, and so what am I? I don't mind being an 11 or being an 11, citizen. And he's like, oh, damn. It's just so strange because it's not really her talking. It's her alternate personality because of the memory loss. So, for Oghi, I don't know if this is really what he wants. It's confusing, but it's still a great scene. It's hard to justify them being a couple at this point. I believe it's later on when we actually see it. All right. If the Euphemia, if the Cornelia and Schenizels scene had some oddities, this conversation was just outright strange, okay? So Nellie's talking to Euphemia. When they were kids, they both argued who was going to sleep with Lelouch. And I forgot who they said won. But then she asked Euphemia a question. And look at her face, okay? Setting up here. What does she ask her? Do you still love him now? And Euphemia's probably thinking, what? Not only that's incest. Are you insane? And this is not sibling love, okay? This is romantic love. That's what she's asking her. She's asking Euphemia if she still loves Lelouch in a romantic sort of way. Because if it was a sibling, she wouldn't ask her that. Because obviously, not obvious, but she obviously loves Lelouch as a sibling. That's why I'm not convinced that when Lelouch said I loved you, I don't think he was talking about sibling love. I think it meant romantic, because why would Nellie ask her this question? It is so random. I kind of touched it before the other video, but I think that's incest. But I'm curious to see how people perceive or interpret this conversation, because I'm lost. Why would Nellie ask her if you still love Lelouch? That's beyond weird. And we got Rivel being an ass as usual. A bunch of people are watching, including 11s. I'm not sure what this is. It could be a different image. Lelouch is happy how no one's getting hurt. It's like, oh, it's easy, if I screw up, no one dies. Millie walks in to compliment him on getting everything ready to go, and she says how these festivals are important because of all the bad stuff that happens. And Lelouch is like, okay, that's true. I got much to learn. He sees Euphemia and Nunnally, and he joins them to talk. Meanwhile, again, Rivel being a dumbass, and says, oh, we're going to have Suzaku use the Ganime, which is the nightmare frame used by the Ashfords, which was given to Marion. And in the picture drama in stage 3, they discussed like how that all went down, which is why that picture drama was pretty good. Saiko explains that Japanese people came to see Suzaku because he's a symbol for them, which, like I said before, to start the episode, they mentioned how the Japanese people have like differentiating opinions on Suzaku, and that's, again, the ones that support him are here. That's these people right here. We get to the scene that people were arguing in the comments where it was like, okay, when Cecile says he has no attraction to the opposite sex, I have to agree with Gladiator King in this one. She's talking about romantic. It's not about his preference, because she would have said that instead. because Lloyd was saying in the context wise, if you look at the scene, he said he didn't want to. He asked her about the granny maid, and he said, "Oh, that's the real reason why you want to be romantically involved." And then Cecile said he has no interest in the opposite sex. And then Lloyd said, "Well, I get the general concept. I mean, he understands romantic love. He's just not interested in the way a normal person would be." That's how I interpret the scene. But I can definitely see it if you think it's kind of about preference. Although, again, the context is about nightmare frames over people. Anyhow, we see the granny maid doing its thing. Here is the second. I mean, like Suzaku's making the pizza. Here is the second of the 3 conversations where Lelouch and Euphemia are discussing, again, as siblings and not as enemies. Nelly being there is a good touch. Shirley is upset because Lelouch has things to do and he should be talking to a flirty girl. I don't think her memories are close enough to even think anything else about this situation. The hat flies off Euphemia and she's immediately recognized. I guess the pink hair didn't give it away. And then we also see this girl in the bat outfit. She's still marking the wall, which is interesting. The camera guys all rush over to to talk to Euphemia. Suzaku drops the pizza, and C2 is like, "No, pizza." It's a sad scene. She was really looking forward to that pizza, so I don't blame her. Millie's face is like, "Well, I guess things are out of my control, and I can't do anything." Cecile actually does a good job here. She tries to tell people to leave Euphemia alone, but ultimately, as you see, it didn't help. We learned the collaborator was Sayako the whole time. I guess that's what they were talking about at the start of the episode. Again, frustrating because there was so much discussion on plans, and all we got was Sayako at the end. The episode ends with Euphemia declaring the special minister in his own Japan, and then also something odd too, when Nelly's talking to Lelouch, and again, this is just my interpretation of the scene, obviously. She mentions how, Suzaku and Euphemia are pretty close. They make a good couple. Lelouch is, really angry because of this. If I show you you can't see it here. Let me go to the episode. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. Okay. Also, Cornelia was upset that Euphy was making this announcement, and Raksha was like, "Man, that girl is really noisy." Again, because no one takes her seriously. That's one of Euphemia's unfortunate traits. How everyone perceives her. Now, yeah, Nina's upset because of the whole recognizing 11 the Japanese people. He's saying it wouldn't work. This part too. They said, "How come Euphy would want to make this zone?" And the girl said, "Because she's in love with Suzaku, obviously." And there's some truth to that because it was through Suzaku that she wanted to start this whole thing to begin with. The timing wasn't as good as they're making it out to be. So when she's talking, what was it? Yeah, here. So she's saying how right, she's talking to Lelouch. She said, "You're trembling, brother." Lelouch said, "Ugh, this will never work." She's upset with Euphemia. Lelouch is basically angry at Euphemia for ruining his life, which is funny. And where was it? Did I miss it? Hold on. Maybe it was before this. Yeah, Euphemia and Suzaku, they're a really good couple. Don't you think, Lelouch? They're really close and stuff. And then his response was, hold on. Yeah, see, he's upset. See, he's pissed off. Nully said, Suzaku and Euphemia are a great couple, and he's angry about it. And I think he's angry because I think he wants Suzaku to take care of Nully, not Euphemia. So Euphemia is stealing Suzaku away from him. And also, Euphemia is stealing away the Black Knight from him. So it's like a double entendre right there of meaning there with that scene. He's really angry at her. Hold on, it's like a skit almost. It's like, where's Lelouch? Oh, there he is. Why does he look pissed off? Whatever. Just oh, thank God he's okay. Euphemia is so innocent and nice. She can't see how she literally is pissing off Lelouch with this plan. lot of like double stuff going on there. Everyone else is blown away how she's like, oh, Levens and Jabba will be equals, which kills all of Lelouch's plans. And this is, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Early on in the episode, I said that she talked to Schneisel, right? So if I go back to that real quick, it might be faster just to do it the 1 second. So if I go through the episode, it's like really early on. Give me 2 secs here. Maybe 3 secs. All the seconds. Yeah. Schenizels says here, follow your heart, Euphemia. Do what you have to do. What's happening here is he's saying, you know what? If you make this zone, the Black Knights are defeated. It's brilliant. We use Euphy's naivete to make the world a better place to stop the Black Knights. I like it. What was that? Nothing. I just said that your plan's beautiful and follow your dreams. Again, Schneisel, making you think you're in control when you're really not. The man is pure genius. So that's this episode. It's for a story. An episode starts out really almost innocent. It actually goes into pretty dark places. Let's see if I got any notes before I go and read some comments, and then we'll play some Janissary Code. In fact, we'll go right to Janissary Code after this because it's already kind of getting kind of late. Let's see. Arthur's costume, Lancelot costume, the BK planning, energy storage site. Okay, I don't think there's anything else here. Lelouch and Kallen both wear masks. That's true. Oh, here's a question I have. How come during the festival, when he only met her once, so I guess it's a reasonable explanation, but I was just wondering, because when the Malin hit Lelouch, he didn't recognize Cecile, but Cecile came to get Suzaku in stage 17. So did he forget what Cecile looked like? I guess so. Because they did meet each other. It's funny because later on Cecile will become like Lucia's right-hand man when he becomes emperor. So it's kind of fun they meet like at a festival. Or meet again at a festival. Lelouch again ignores Shirley. Yep, that's right. She wanted to talk to him, and he's like, I'll help you out later, Shirley, but now I need you to do this. Let's see. And also, it says, I made one more point. I think Lelouch was really going to kill Euphemia, or wanted to at this point, because if you look at his face at the end, he was really angry with her because she became like their enemy. I think when he put that gun out to shoot Euphy, I think he really wanted to kill her. He didn't, obviously, but yeah. So this was a good episode. I liked it. I gave it a 7 out of 10, which is not a bad score. Overall, the festival itself, I'm not a big fan of, but I like how it had some funny, dramatic scenes with the characters interacting. Good development relationships, especially with Oghi and Viletta, Euphemia and Suzaku, and the Saz announcement, which was a big deal at the time. So that's kind of the episodes. Next week we're going to do 22 and 23, which honestly is so emotionally draining. I don't want to do any more than that. All right, let's do some Janissary Code gameplay, because why not? And I'll do this while we're also reading comments. Meanwhile, I'll only take the banners and change it to... Don't I have... Yeah. All right, let's read some comments. I got to complete some stuff, by the way. Oh, by the way, from last time, I guess you guys didn't know. Let me go back to it real quick. So I got the alternative version of Akito from kind of last week. I think I unlocked him, so here he is now. He's pretty good. He's not my favorite character, but he's good in the game, so it's good enough. All right, let's go to Let's see. I don't know. Okay, I think I read that part. Euphemia will be Princess Leia. I think that's okay. The real Mr. Code Geass is who is the Lancelot cosplayer. He makes an appearance in turn 12. He does? Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Oh, I missed one of my level ups here. I'm going to take care of that. I got a bunch of teams now I made in this game, so I checked this out. I have the W0 unit. I have my best team. I have the royal family, the Britannia military, all Japanese, the Black Knights, the sword users, MCs, couples. We'll use couples. And notice how I put in Guilford and Cornelia, Lelouch and Shirley, since I don't have C2 or Kallen, but that will change at some point. And I put Cecile because, why not? It's just Cecile. She's innocent. Doesn't really hurt anything. So we'll use that in this gameplay here. I'm just going to say this Charles Everton reminds me of Salvador Leon from GTA. I don't know who that is. I never played. The only GTA I ever played was 5 and a little bit of 3. But that was a long time ago. I don't think Charles is just as paranoid. Probably not. Probably not. No, this love sibling scene. Yeah, that was weird. I'll never abandon Lelouch. Anyway, we have unlimited pizza. C2, peace out. Facts. Yeah, it's true. If there's pizza involved, C2 will definitely not be around anymore. That is very accurate. Let's see. Not only you can destroy the Emperor, he has foreseen this is your destiny. Join me. Oh my god. I think Schenizels was trying to come across as a gentleman, but he was going so far that came across as flirting. Yeah, that's why I think so too. Now I read the comments, but from the past video, but still, it's some weird stuff. Oh, check this out. They have this new challenge mode. I'll go play through some levels. You can fight already established characters. So check this out. Let me switch out this team because you need a good team to win these battles. I'll use my best team because this is kind of difficult. Let's go to the best team here. Yes, switch the teams. Which Niza was complimenting Cornelia. Can I change the subject? I think she was self-aware that she said that we're getting close. That could be also true. The scene of Kallen and Shirley seemed interesting. Yeah, exactly. Haha, interesting indeed. I love you, Suzaku. I know. You know what's funny? That actually could have worked in the last episode because he was going to die. And she's like, I love you, Suzaku. I know. By the way, that was a typo. I don't know why. Why in the world you would see Tamaki on my best team? That was a mistake. Ignore that. I will throw Ino in there, and I'll put in I like Zio, or maybe Total. Yeah, let's use Akito. Let's get owned. Owning is great. That's not the right item for him though. He likes. A better one for him is where is it? Where he's dancing with Layla. That's a good one. Toto doesn't use the Black Knight, so we're not going to use that one. That looks fine. Oh wait, I think Euphemia is using it. Okay, Rollo it is, and okay. So who plays Jabba the Hutt? Oh, Bartley plays Jabba the Hutt. Oh. Not sleep, but married. Bartley is Jabba the Hutt. I called it first. How about the High Unix as Jabba? That could work too. All of them in one. Lelouch was jealous of Suzaku and Euphemia's love because he wanted Suzaku. In all seriousness, I think Lelouch was upset because he wanted Suzaku to look after Nelly and not Euphemia. Yes, that's what I was thinking too. I've always wanted Resurrection movie. How did Lelouch get the scar on his neck? Cause the recap films, I can't recall Lelouch getting a scar. Wasn't a scar on his neck. Not the Geass. You're talking about the actual scar? I'm not sure. Globus as Greedo. Accurate. Yeah, the code mark. I think you're talking about the code mark, right? Euphy, why are you making Lelouch triggered? I know. Lelouch being a bit of a yonder, Saku's by night. Oh my god. No, I'm talking about the code mark. It's noticeable if you look at Lelouch closely, he has a scar on his left neck. Left side of his neck. He got it when Charles tried to strangle Lelouch with his hand that had the code mark before it being erased. How strangling someone gave you a scar? Hey, Charles got big hands. I don't know. Rivals as Jawa, Nita as Jar Jar Binks, only because, you know. How does Zilkstan know V2? Did he give Shama her Geass? I have no idea. They don't explain where that came from. Is it true? Serious question. Is it true the Japanese version ending where Lelouch was alive, or was that a fake? It was he was alive, but they showed a face that looked like Lelouch, I believe. Think and play. Hey everyone, sorry I'm late for the analysis again. At least I can see some gameplay. Oh, welcome, buddy. Thanks for coming. He has a corrupted code, but he still has Geass. Even though you lose your Geass when you get a code, Lelouch is not immortal. He just doesn't age. He's a failed one. It's weird. Yeah, he's out with the card scene. Well, the code still heals and regenerate him. Let me just do something real quick. Since you asked, I want to know what you're talking about when you said the scar in the neck. Let me see. Revive. Hold on, I'll just throw it up here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Zilkstan. So I don't see the scar on Lelouch right now. Let's see. We're gonna look different angles at it. Okay, they're looking for. Yeah, the car breaks down. I like because Lelouch doesn't help her out because he can't, which is kind of sad. Okay, here's his. You mean this scar, right? You're talking about this scar. You can see it right here. I have no idea. That's what asking. I don't know where that's from. Yeah, they try to go to this one, and it just wasn't enough. Okay, that's what you were asking. All right, back to the gameplay. So in this new mode here, you can fight against other characters in the game. See. I don't know if you guys can hear us or not. I don't have the setting for let's see, check the sound. I killed Cecile, I feel bad, but it's okay. It was for the greater good. You get to kill, you get to fight like the other, I can't beat the hard mode of this. I've tried, and I keep getting killed every time. You have to be like almost perfect, immaculate. Now we're fighting against Gino, Viletta, Lux, Iono, and Guilford. Oh god. Akito's getting freaking massacred. Toto is apparently an S rank character. I had no idea, but she's an S rank, which is cool because she's pretty powerful. Let's take out Lelouch and we'll put 0 in. Does that still work for him? Let's see. I think he's intelligence type, so that works. We'll take out Akito because he's still having a bit of a hard time, and I'll put in Todo. Nah, I won't put Zio. I like Zio. I don't know much about Zio's story except for what I've read in the Wikipedia. And I want them to make an anime of this. He's a cool character. We'll keep Toto. She's fine. She's just supporting. Support characters don't really matter as much. Well, they do, but in this context, they don't. Let me close these tabs out. We're fighting against, what is this, Ryu, Suzaku, Diethard, Toto, and obviously Jeremiah. I don't think Lelouch would last 3 seconds fighting Toto in this context, but it's a game, so it's okay. Psycho, you can't stop Zio. He's freaking Darth Maul. Look at that. He cut her in pieces. Jesus Christ. Seriously, Zio is the man. The guy is freaking Darth Maul in this game. I hope we get more characters from that universe. He's so cool. Who's the villains here? Are we fighting? Oh, wow. Jeez, that's rough. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Marianne the Wise? That's great. We got any special tickets to get another MC? I do, but I'm saving it for... So, the plan is, I announced at the start of the stream, but I'll show you guys my current status. So, I have 21,000 Dite. I think it's called Dite or shards, whatever you want to call it. My plan is to get as much as I can for this week. Hopefully 30,000. That's going to be rough, but we'll try it. So, when Friday occurs, Kallen will be an available character. I'm going to spend all my Dite, or not all of it, a lot of it, to try to summon her. And the same goes for my rainbow tickets. I have 17, so I can get one character. So my thought is, okay, I'm going to put as much as I can to get Kallen on next week. And, you know, if I don't get her, I don't get her. But I'm gonna try to. I'll get at least 10, maybe not 10, 5 or 6 rounds of 10 summoning to see if I can get her. I also have 17 silver tickets. So by the end of the week, I'll have another 23, 24. So I'll get 20 level 2 and 3 summons. I still don't have Lloyd yet. I also don't have Ashley, and he'll be in the new batch of characters. So my goal is to get Ashley and Kallen next week. That's the plan going forward. That'd be kind of cool. I know there are characters to be announced later on, but once Ashley and Kallen are out, I believe that's everyone who was promised in the early release of the game. You know, if they get other characters, you know, that's one thing. So that's the plan. Next week is going to be like a massive summoning. I'm all going to be summoning all day. It's going to be crazy. I'm really excited about it. Hopefully, they don't cheat me and give me characters I don't want. There's a, what is this? Oh. Actually, I got this character recently. I haven't used her yet, but she's kind of cool. She's kind of cool too. I don't have. So this tells you, by the way, the odds of getting certain characters. See, that's the odds of pulling C2. It's like 0.191. It's ridiculous. The slot crap on this to get what you want. Look how many level 4s there are in this game. I mean, like, they add some more characters, and like you're never gonna draw them when you do the whole system to pull characters. I think it's a single pull. Yeah, this is a single pull, and then in the triple pull, it's roughly the same. Damn, who's this character? The odds are really good to get him. So, is what it is. Hopefully, Kallen will be hard to pull. But I mean, I got this character, her. I wasn't even trying to get her, so it's very possible it won't be that bad. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, I just wanted to mention that. You guys are wondering about summoning new MCs. I do want to, you know, get new MCs for sure. It'd be great. This won't happen, but it'd be really cool if by the end of next week I have C2 and Kallen. Then I have the 3, you know, love interests, and we can have like a fun playthrough of all of them. That'd be kind of cool. But, you know, we can't have nice things, so. Alright, do we just win already? I don't know, whatever, we're doing it again. Toto, Cecile, Mao, and Nunnally. It's a rough thing. You can't stop Darth Maul, guys. Don't even waste your time. Is Mao really trying to fight Zio hand-to-hand combat? Are you an idiot? You can't stop Zio. That's stupid. That's really... I know finished him off, but seriously, look at that double-bladed action. Damn, Nunnally got wiped out, too. Zio's a freaking monster. Just imagine we get duplicates for those tickets. Ryan, don't even bring that up, man. If we get duplicates, I'm going to scream. If I get 3 of the Lelouchs in a row, I'm going to... I don't know what I'm going to do. If I got 3 Lelouchs in a row, I'd be so angry. That's why this game is so frustrating. Your effort doesn't equate anything. It's annoying. You could put hours into your time collecting these dice and summoning, and you'll get nothing. Absolutely nothing. They better not. If that happens, I'm going to be so mad. Because I really... yeah, that better not happen. Give me the summons I want. Again, Gino, did you really try to fight Zio? Are you an idiot? Man. People don't understand, this is Darth Maul in his prime. So, yeah, I hope there's no... If there's dupes, man, I don't know what I'll do. Well, I'm going to think positively and hope that the gotcha gods are on my side. Not the gotcha, but the gotcha gods. Let's take out Toto. I'll put Cecile in. I'll take out Euphemia because I'm bored using her. And we'll put in Gigi. And... we'll put in Toto. We'll have two shields. That's pretty powerful. Get caught. Zio is the reason why you can have a Star Wars story in Code Geass, because he's basically Darth Maul. Bismarck doing his thing. We got a Jedi duel here between Zio and Lux, but I think Zio won. Wouldn't Zio's sword cut Toto's? I shouldn't even discuss the fighting mechanics of this game. It makes no sense. She became so powerful, the only thing she was afraid was losing her power, which eventually, of course, she did. Unfortunately, my brother got jealous of her, and then my brother. Okay, let's go complete my mission tasks. I was missing some things. Huh? Oh, these are login bonuses? These are not login bonuses. These are battle things, right? These are totally battle things. What's the awards for that? Are these credit prizes? One's a credit prize. Oh, I'm not going to waste my AP on it. It's not worth it. Let's go to C's real quick. I got to get some... memories so I can build buildings. Bam. Let's see who's in C's world. We got Jeremiah talking to Shirley, telling her to leave us alone because if you don't want to die, don't get involved. So I guess this conversation happened even in the game. Say, Yukiya, would you be interested in doing a story about the W0 unit? I want to follow your journey as you change the world. Well, Yukiya, what do you think? I guess he's not interested. Not only be careful, you might kill yourself because you can't see what you're doing. Zero, you want to help her out? Oh, you can't see either. That makes sense. Has anyone seen the princess? Guilford, I don't think she's here. Where's the princess? Has anyone seen V2? No, Toto, no one's seen V2. Oh, dude, Guilford. Where's Guilford? She's right here. She's right here. Come on, man. You're almost there. You gotta walk a little miles to get to her. He's so close, you see, but so far. Princess! No, don't stop, Guilford. She's right here. Can't you see? You're looking right... whatever, idiot. To jump or not to jump? Does Viletta have, what's it called? what does Viletta have here? What's that term? Ticks? She's really like, I don't know, it's just weird. Where's Gino going? Yeah, whatever. Some of the motion of these characters is really bizarre to me. Shirley's, you see that? Look at Shirley's eyes. You see that? Look really closely. Her eyes go down a really strange. Ooh, that's weird. What's going on with her eyes? Is Shirley okay? That's weird. Here, let's exile and enter back in just to see if I get a different variation. But if you're curious, this is what the new character looks like. There she is. She has a Geass power apparently. I'm not sure what it is. If we get Orphans and Renya, the whole MC team is ready. Yeah, I guess so, but I really want C2 and Kallen. And Renya. C2, Kallen, and Renya. You know what? How about this? The first summon, I get all of them in one shot. You know, what's wrong with that? Maybe I'll get lucky. Yeah, probably not. Okay, who's in C's role now? Alright, so we got Akito, Ayano, Gino, Oghi, Zio, Klaus, Toto, Futaba, and Toto again. We got Toto, and we have Toto. Yes. Kaguya? No, I'm her great-great-great-grandmother. Oh, my bad. I thought you were Kaguya. No, I'm her grandmother. You'll never meet me. I see. Man, having Kallen and Ayano on the same team is gonna be so badass if I can get it to work. Yeah, Zio is very excited. I guess I don't blame him. Okay. I guess I can't complete the tasks right now. I'm almost out of AP. So. Yeah, is what it is. So that's what's going on with the. Ooh. Let me go back to. Akito. Charles. I know. Now's your chance. Layla isn't around. You must confess to Akito. Yeah, I heard there was a thing about those two. Lord Zero, can you hear me? Yes, father. Where is Shirley? Is she safe? Is she alright? It seems in your anger, you killed her. No, if she was alive, I would have felt it. No. The greatest no in history. No. No. Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. Let's see. What time is it? Oh, it's 10. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Next week's gonna be really fun. I'm very excited. Hopefully we get good summons. I'm gonna do my best to get enough resources to make it happen, but I don't want to go bankrupt over this either. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But anyhow, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you guys always, and we'll do it again next week. Have a good work week, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.